Hello and welcome to Zelda Speedruns. Today we have another match of the Ocarina of Time Randomizer Standard Tournament Season 4. We are in loser bracket round 5. Matchup is Riley versus Fmzgun129. Commentators for this match are Imosoda and Yoshikyun. Say hello and take it from here.
Hello, hello.
Yo, what up, chat? We got another bracket match here. It's gonna be a great one against Riley and FMZ. It's gonna be great to watch. I'm very excited for it. Hope you all are too.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out earlier, like, how far into the tournament this is. These are top 8 now. So, top 8 loser side. Playing off for a match against Ryukane.
It's scary. Ryukane's definitely showed that they're here to play, and quite good too. I think they were a little bit. Their seed should have been a little bit higher. 20 seed for Ryukane seems kind of low to me.
Ryukane's one of those players to me who's like Cariosa was last season, is kind of inconsistent and then just goes on an absolute tear through the brackets, and you're just like, wow, this is wild. And then you see like a couple of other races, it's like, okay, maybe it's like a combination of like being really good at the game and a little bit lucky at the right times and like a billion other things. And, you know, with the way season 4 came in, there were a lot of people who kind of benefited from that early change in the settings while everyone was still adjusting. They capitalized on that. Not the case for these two. I think these two are very much I don't want to say old guards, considering they're kind of, you know, they've not been around the longest in the community, but a while now. Oh, and they are off.
Here we go.
That is a really, really nice spawn.
That's too good. You got Prelude as child now, and it's a really nice way to get money. You just have to make sure it's day and not night, so you don't fall in the river. But other than that, you just gotta go straight llama. This is awesome. It's what I always want to do in my child start. I just call it the route now because I don't deviate from it. It almost always pays out. Where you just spam llama on. Just go valley. Doesn't matter if it's foolish. Go to lake. Go to open grotto. Go to curry forest. You're good to go. Gets
Right, I think no matter what settings you look at in this game, like no matter what you're playing around with, your songs are your most valuable tool. Like, no matter what you're doing, you want your songs first and foremost.
Yeah, totally agree with that. As Talent says here, start looking. So we're gonna see some item checks coming up here.
So yeah, just on what we were saying about the runners earlier as well. Riley accidentally trying to buy some milk there. Yeah, Riley was in the season 3 bracket. Somewhat underperformed, I think, in season 3, but there's definitely more than made up for that this time around. FMZ opted out of the bracket last time because of time zones, basically. He was worried about people having to schedule with his time zone, but, you know, was convinced to take part this time and has, yeah, certainly made the most of it, making a hell of a run through.
Yeah, they're kind of like... They're a bit of a hermit, I would say. They just kind of show up to races and do really well in them, generally, when they do play, so...
FMZ is one of those people who's like, he doesn't say much, but when he does, it's worth listening.
Definitely.
FMZ... yeah, FMZ is from Taiwan, so it's like...
Ooh, bomb juice.
I think it's like UTC plus, yeah, 6 or 7.
See how big this bomb shoot pack is.
Oh, plus 8 even. Okay, never mind. Alrighty, yeah. So if it's a save scum seed, I think they're both pretty efficient with those. Ooh. 10 is that awkward.
Oh yeah.
I was gonna say, it's that awkward bubble where you're like, do I save scum these aggressively? Or maybe?
Well, with when your spawn is right here too, right? Like, seems pretty, I would say, attractive as an option. Like, you just check the boulder here. You could even just check the Tektite Grotto too. Just save scum that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think going to Kakuri Forest here is the better option. This is why you check that. That's why you check that. It's you can always find a bomb locked bomb back somewhere, and you know,
Oh no.
feels good, man.
Yeah. So it's worth noting that's probably not gonna, like, Riley will probably get that at some point, but not doing it there is gonna be pretty costly.
Yeah, it depends on how aggressive Riley is with his bomb shoot usage, for sure. It's kind of what it comes down to this early in a seed. It's kind of crazy. I really like this decision from FMZ. You get to get a quick look at Valley. Oh, wow. Okay. So he's just gonna save right out of that. He must be going to Kakuri Forest then too, I would imagine.
Makes sense, makes sense. And having like those explosives for Lost Woods is going to be a really nice bonus because, yeah, Riley is going to be a little bit concerned about, you know, do you use them here? Until he finds one in Midos anyway, just to clean everything up. But
I think a play that you see a lot of the time is players going toward the song, then saving, and then from there you get your hints at SFM. And you just get a lot of bomb shoot checks that way. All of Lost Woods plus all of Goron City plus some of DMT even could go there. You would know that unless FMZ does exactly what he does, it's the earliest you can get there this seed. So
yeah, it can be a little awkward if you want to use items you find in Lost Woods. Like if you find a scale and want to go towards River, it's like, now I can't save scum the choose because then I'll be back at the market and.
Yeah, I like this market play from FMZ a lot. Get bomb shoot bowling out of the way. It's super efficient for checks. Oh wait, you get hovers out of it.
What?
You're 0? Alright. Alright. Seems pretty good so far.
So that one, from compared to the bombs, that one a lot less influential. Riley will get that before he ever goes adult.
Yeah. They're pretty much every single time you're gonna get that before going adult. Just gonna be careful with it. Ooh, Fire Temple Foolish. And the Graveyard Wade here. We saw that also outside of Lost Woods. Also 40's dead, 50's a Goron Tunic. Oof, Requiem on OoT, okay.
Ooh.
Well, it might be one of those seeds. I mean, we still don't know what the meds are.
It's always like the worst one to see though. I think that's like the scariest one. If it storms, you're like, I'll play through as much of the siege as I can, and if I get to the point where I can do AD, I'm probably just gonna go and do it because Fmz playing for a prescription.
Yeah, that is surprising. I mean, you don't want to backtrack here, right? Like that would just be inefficient if you had to come back here later. What if it's like bigger on hookshot or something? He's just playing for his outs right now, I think. Really cool setup too. Like
that was like perfect bomb shoe bowling.
Like released one right after he was done talking to her. Oh, and a bow! What is this seed?
Oh yeah, that was one of Toxic Strats. That one actually, I remember, was one of the ones that got picked up by, like, hundo speedrunners as well. Like, it actually became a pretty notable strat outside of Rando, so...
Yeah. It's very impressive still.
So, I'm gonna say now, generally speaking, when I'm on comms, I'm like, oh, this is in logic, and this is like the fun with this logic. This is gonna be a nightmare to follow right now, unless a hammer shows up, like, immediately now. Like, everything FMZ's doing is out of logic, basically. We've got the prescription, the bomb bag, and the bow all out of logic.
Yeah, I think Shooting Sun is dead. Like Requiem might on OoT, like you don't know if it's gonna be all dungeons until like usually near the end of the seed, right? So unless you get like Requiem super early, Strike 2 super early, but so that's the scariest part for me at least. But I think overall, I never want to see a Pwn on Ocarina of Time. That's always a bad experience.
Right, like it's weird. Like Storms, you're like, I probably have to go and do it, unless you get a bottom of the world foolish hint. You probably want to go do it. And if it's Eponas, you're like, I probably don't have to. And Requiem's just in that awkward bubble where you're like, oh, please don't.
Yeah, Nocturne is very clear cut. Everything else is pretty whatever, but I think for Song of Storms too, it depends on the speed of a seed.
Ooh,
has a
Valley
lot of effect.
Foolish.
Very nice. Good hint.
What was it you said about the route earlier? Was it you go and do Valley even if it's foolish?
Yeah, I mean, there is still a hint there. I mean, it probably isn't a good one, but can sometimes pay out if the other one is just like deep in the seed for like a way to hero or something. But you could get like a second one there. The nice thing about that route is just you just get everything done in the early game that you need done doing. If that makes any sense. English is hard.
You can't. I think the big thing is that you get like a bunch of really out the way checks in terms of like Valley Lake, Open Grotto, but also have a really good way over to Kokiri Forest early, and we can just be further out of logic. Who needs it? Logic is simply a suggestion right now.
Yeah, especially finding that hook shot in Lost Woods, bomb locked. Like
there just has to be an early bomb bag or hammer, right? There has to be.
Chickens is calling. I hear some clucking in the distance. You hear that? I don't know. Aside from that, like... What the fuck? What the fuck?
What is this? You've got to be kidding me!
Alright. It's one of those seeds. One of those seeds. I guess they have a way higher likelihood of knowing if it's AD or not now. Access to G2G to go to Spirit Temple potentially, but that is amazing to see if you're playing this right now. Checking a bunch of bomb out things. He's really only missing a bomb bag. I mean, what's the likelihood that he checks Boulder before going back adult? It's right next to the spawn, so you know your opponent's probably going to check it at some point. Especially with an early bomb shoot pack, so I wouldn't be too surprised to not, to actually see him check that.
Yeah. No, like it makes perfect sense. I would not be surprised, by the way, to see the graveyard be the bomb bag at this point as well. Just go do Dampe digging.
Makes a lot of sense. It has time of day for it. That is one thing he's going to have over FMZ here pretty early on in the seed. Just getting that way the hero check in. It could just very likely be adult though, so it's kind of I would say slightly risky.
Yeah, his time of day after this is a little awkward. It's probably River, but...
Yeah, it doesn't feel great. I mean, for Riley, he has only one Foolish, right? He doesn't know Fire Foolish because that's at Temple of Time. He hasn't checked that yet. So, for him, I think it's a lot riskier than if he just did something else right now. Just go adult or something. This time of day is really gonna... Like, if there is an item here, you're kind of locked into doing something else after this, so... I don't know. I like it a lot less, but, like, if there's an early item that matters... See, it's just a mirror shield here, so it's like... It's fine. That's a fine play, like, and it's a fine like find, but like now is time of day is kind of awkward. So you might be going to Tektite now,
Yeah,
or
this.
Boulder too. So just a waste of time of day. Okay, hook shot there for FMZ. That's the Boulder one probably. Yeah.
I mean, they're both.
Yeah, they're both boulders.
Yeah,
I guess I always view the other one as just a grotto for scrubs. You know, I don't see the boulder on that one. I don't know.
I don't feel how
Yeah, here we
often
go.
Riley will save around here to keep time of day as well, though. He's gonna get the bomb bag here, probably use it on the Tektite grotto, and then just walk back. I'd imagine.
Yeah. Long shot there for FMZ. So they're pretty much tied up here, except I think Riley's time of day and position is a lot better right now, just in terms of where he's at in the seed. And he went to Kakuri Forest first, so I think that has a lot to do with it. Although,
FMZ
Alvarez
did
with
hit.
FMZ, you know.
FMZ did hit night before entering Kakiri Forest, so there is absolutely no way FMZ ever gets to Dampe during this.
Yeah. Thankfully, it's only a mirror shield, but you know, if there's another item in adult graveyard, it gets a little bit less likely, unless he's really thinking of pushing Wavy Heroes to come back and check that. So it's gonna be sometime in the Child 2 segment. Maybe we have like a Jabu
What?
medallion, but we don't know that yet. It could be Jabu and Deku medallions, in which case it gets a lot more likely you get that.
What is Riley's direction right now? Oh, just Field Grotto. Okay.
Interesting.
It looked like he was heading towards Lon Lon, and I was really confused. I was like, is Riley gonna go out the way for, like, a skull? Like...
I think this is fine. I mean, you can just save quit your time of day, like, pretty early on.
Get down to Lake, and then you can pick up the checks there as well.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
Save quit.
That's interesting. I wonder if he'll do the other field grottos then, or if it'll just be this one.
Oh wow, just that one.
Just that one.
I was kind of expecting a little bit more there, but I think all of these early adult items specifically, it's really going to be pushing him towards that. I think he's getting a little bit more money here for bomb shoe bowling, so he's going to clear our market. Won't do Richard the dog, but thankfully that's nothing this seed, but he doesn't know that, so I might be feeling a little awkward. Just, I think it's like one of the worst checks in S4. It's just so hard to do in one segment.
It won't be too bad to go. It's always one of those ones that I think you pick up very efficiently during Child 2, and the question then just becomes, how late is your Child 2?
Yeah, I like PKR's point in chat here. Like, if you're gonna spend the time to go all the way down there, you might as well do all 3 grottos, right? Because otherwise you're just gonna have to go back there later anyway.
I feel like I'd have done fishing as well. I feel like I'd have done grotto, peak the scale item, do fishing, and reset out of fishing.
The tough part is knowing if you have enough time of day in that position to be able to get Scarecrow and then save at that point, and then get enough time of day to go to CAC. But you have Bomb Bag anyway, you can just clear DC. So, like, as long as it's day when you go to Adult CAC, it doesn't matter really. It could even be night, it doesn't matter. You just go DC at that point, I think. Which is the place to be in S4.
We start calling the Russo's letter spot pizza scale from now on.
Pizza scale.
Peak the scale item was what I said, but yeah, pizza scale works for me too.
Scale.
Just...
I like pizza. I should order pizza today.
Forget
Sorry, go ahead.
No, FMZ just like started throwing bombs at the castle and is now waiting for time of day. I don't know if he just forgot that the spawn was actually in field.
Yeah, well, you kind of see this sometimes just with randomized spawn in general. Like, I'm guilty of it for sure. Just like not knowing if it's like the owl spawn right there or if it's from market makes a difference. So if it's the owl spawn, you don't fall into the river. But if it's the spawn or the entrance from market, then you always do fall because you spawn on like walking out of the bridge. So like, man.
So they're almost tied up on items now. FMZ hasn't done Dampe digging, and that's about it. Apparently will be the first one to go adult, marginally.
Yeah, already doing market. I don't know. I think this is probably just due to Riley checking the south field stuff and waiting for time of day there a little bit.
Definitely feels like Riley's been a bit more efficient with this opening. They're at very similar times. Like FMZ is, we're talking like 10 to 20 seconds ahead of where Riley is at most. But on the flip side, Riley's done the Field Grotto and Dampe and hasn't checked. I mean, what does FMZ check that Riley hasn't?
I don't think anything.
I think that's it. Alright, pedestal check. See Shadow's Forest Medallion, that's always fun.
Alright, so our stones are water, Deku, and fire. That's a yikes. Seeing both Spirit and Shadow as medallions here and Requiem on OoT. I don't know. I think going to check there at Spirit, once you have 2 strengths, is just really important to know if it's AD or not the seed. But with only Deku, Water, and Fire, those are really quick dungeons overall. Ooh, Mini Wet. Okay.
Riley can't play songs, but I do like the decision to play Bolero here. Having your long shot already, you can just jump back over. If you want to go to CAC, you can just go across through Goron City and do it that way.
Nice thing about coming... Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's true. Just change into another Sun song here. Okay.
And then, yeah, Riley's just going to travel back. I assume go via Goron City, stop Link the Goron on the way through, and just jump down towards Kakariko and probably beat Dodongo's Cavern on the way down. Drop him neatly at the entrance to CAC. You can already do all of DC. It's so many item checks in there already. Or, I guess it's only like, what, 7, but very quick and medallion dungeon. Yeah. So, like, logic is gone, long gone at this point. I'm ignoring that one.
It's just all locked by something that makes a boulder go away, so as long as we find where that is. Okay, there's a Fours win too.
Good one to have.
It's a CAC.
So,
pretty good location.
Magic's gonna be the last thing they find, right?
I don't know, like, it can go either way. I'm sure they would love to find Magic though.
Given the way this has gone so far, actually, the more likely scenario is they never need to set Furor's Wind, because anytime they walk into a dungeon, they can already clear it.
I'm sure that's what they're hoping for, regardless. Like, everyone that's still in the bracket left here in S4, they're all super concerned about one-tripping. They're all super concerned about when they do go into somewhere, they full clear it on the first trip. You know, that's just good routing, I think. But it can be really hard depending on the spawns, depending on what songs you start with, what happens in the early game. It can really affect your routing either way, in a positive or negative way. So it can be kind of hard to know when to make a decision to see it, especially in S4. It's just so many things happening.
So yeah, coming up in chat right now is, it is incredibly likely at this point, not quite guaranteed, but about as close as you can get, that they have to cross the desert to get Zelda's Lullaby. Which could, I'm not saying they have to beat water without ZL, but it could be all dungeons to get Requiem to get Zelda's Lullaby.
It's certainly, it's probably what Riley's more thinking right now. It's definitely advantage to his route. That FMZ, you won't know that for a little bit here, or just not knowing where all the songs are yet, so. Definitely like Riley's position a little bit more now. She's getting really small incremental advantages just due to his routing.
Mm-hmm. Just that a little bit more. I don't want to say efficient because it feels. It's not that Riley is doing things that are specifically being more efficient. It's that a lot of the way that things have worked out for Riley have been more efficient. The only thing I would say that was like an active efficiency choice.
Ooh.
Amazing magic already. Was FMZ waiting for time of day while Riley did the grottos, or the single grotto.
Yeah. Yep, gonna go to Dodongos. You know, it's progression, and it's Dodongos. I think
Yeah.
you're just gonna come here anyway, but
And again, just this is like it's a tiny difference. But for Riley, this is that little bit nicer going from Goron City to Dodongos to CAC because it puts you at the bottom of the trail. You just cut out that movement time entirely. Whereas FMZ is going to finish CAC, go up, want to do Dodongo's Cavern, and then have to walk up that part of the trail twice where Riley's going to avoid it entirely. It's a small difference, but it's a difference.
you know what I think is gonna happen? Ooh, scale. Nice. Alright. I think the Saponas, since it's pretty free, really early in the seed, you're gonna definitely have to go to GTG for something. I think the Stalfos chest in there, I'm gonna call it right now. It's gonna have hammer in there.
Oh, wait, you're saying that's the logic?
Yeah.
The whole of this is locked by using the opponents to cross and kill the Stalfos.
Yep, and it'll have hammer specifically.
Ugh.
Imagine if I'm right.
Ugh.
It's not the worst ever. I mean, depends on how early you go there, I guess. I mean, getting this bow and getting this bomb bag out of logic is the most important part for the runners so far this seed.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
In terms of going fast, like logic, it's a framework, right? You don't have to be in it all the time.
It helps you make the decisions, but you don't have to follow it. In fact,
yeah,
I still love that, like, for a lot of people, it's actually harder to stay in logic than it is to, like, actively avoid it. Like, staying neatly within the logic all the time gets surprisingly difficult in some situations.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it just takes one really bad location, just really inefficient to go to. If you really want to stay in logic, that's all it really takes for it to be just a disaster in terms of time. Versus like, yeah, it was just in the boulder near market. It was just bomb bag there, so I just used it. I mean, it's not like you're not going to use that or anything, or I have to find out why this is this way, you know, that's going to just be a lot less efficient.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it really depends on the item in question, like, or how out of logic you are, right? Or how likely you are to do it in an average seed, especially in S4. Really hard to know. Dodongos, though, I think it's just an autoplay.
Yeah, firstly, it's a medallion, but secondly, it's just so efficient in terms of, like, check density. I have to rant about this one because it keeps coming up. I feel like people mix up check density and number of checks way too often. The Dodongos is a relatively low number of checks, but they're so dense, they're so, like, tightly packed together that it makes it a really efficient play.
That reminds me of Bomb of the Well. It's also something fits that description, I would say.
Bottom of the Well is a bit of both. It's also a lot of checks, to be fair.
Oh yeah. kind of the same reason why I would kind of want to go to GTG after DC here. They're going to be in a really good position to do it. They're at CAC anyway. For FMZ, he doesn't have the song, so he's going to have to do a little bit of warping. And I guess we haven't really seen where adult spawn is either, have we?
I think Riley going in and out all of that time will have, yeah, despawned the other bomb drop there. Taking a little too long on it.
Yeah.
So welcome Sponge, welcome Raiders.
Sponge Raiders.
You're joining us in the middle of a relatively generous seed. There's a lot of items. Like one of them is in logic. 2, I think.
Yeah, everything is locked by this bomb bag from the grotto near the market and field. It's not going to really be that important, but it could be. Determining where Hammer could be, potentially. Or it's just another bomb bag. Still though, FMZ not too far behind. As Riley clears the dungeon, they'll be bombing the eyes, so it's like 3 minutes behind right now.
Yeah, like it's hard to gauge until, I guess, FMZ's gone up towards Garan City. Yeah.
Yeah, Garan City as well, yeah. I guess it could be even more than that, yeah.
I wonder if FMZ's gonna just play Bolero out of here, I'd imagine, but... Oh, I think that second bomb was a little... Yep. A little too late on the throw.
Nice bomb refill,
Right.
though.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Riley happily grabbing 5 more bombs here.
I think you always do, right? I think it's just worth it. Do you have at least 5 missing? This early in a seed? They've already checked a lot of the bomb checks, but you might not have to get a refill ever again. That can even come down to what you even have left, too. Yeah, Riley hasn't done CAC, that's right. Like, if you think you will be in an area that will have bomb refills, depending on when you even go there, it's kind of like, if you really want to think about picking up that bomb refill, you can even take it a step further with that. But that's a lot of thinking, I don't know.
Yeah, like it's kind of interesting with DCs where you get a lot of very open-ended stuff, and it's just a case of, okay, you've been handed like everything. Where do you go with it? It does feel like, yeah, I think we said earlier about training grounds is a big option right now for sure.
Huge area.
Like, I don't want to say go further out of logic, but at that point you probably also want to cross the desert and pick up the song, especially given how likely it is right now that it's Zelda's Lullaby.
It's a bit of an awkward spot, I would say, only because are you going to put Ferora's in G2G? Are you going to put it in Spirit? Like, because if you think ZL's going to be there, why not just do G2G first, right?
I mean, at this stage, you probably end up going back to both dungeons, and it's just like the two are basically the same.
Yeah.
You of course check the adult spawn first, and it's potentially the decision is made for you. But otherwise, yeah, I think going through both of those is really, really valuable. I think out of the two, you probably leave it in the training grounds over Spirit, because I think you're more likely to go there first. I guess, no, at this point, yeah, I guess if you get Song of Time, you consider going back there.
I think River could be a big play too. Get a little bit more info that way. If you want
Thought
to
we
be
were
a
about to
little
see
bit
it
more
there, but
careful. Yeah, I thought so too. But no, we're gonna go toward Market. Call Epona. Might have forgotten the Epona. I think he's gonna do Big Pose. There's
this
still
is
a lot of logic.
probably Big Pose with a play towards
G2G.
the Garuda area, yeah.
Yeah.
And like you grab the Poe on the way at least, but the priority here is. Oh, that's a terrible direction if that's going.
Hey, I just want to be on the left side of the sign. Just a lot easier.
Yeah, just follow the sign. Even like points you towards the Poe perfectly.
Ah,
No! And off we go, Garuda.
wow, just bailing from it.
No. Okay,
Oh,
no. Just
thinking
looping
about
around
bailing.
and sending it to the castle.
Oh, I see, I see.
I actually thought he was going to go up towards Lon Lon, turn right, and get the Poe there, and then just catch it, go to... Oh my god, no.
I'm gonna take my horse. Yeah, just bomb it, dude. He's out of there.
Ganon's castle! Ganon's...
Yeah.
Ganon's...
Okay. So maybe his plan. Maybe this was his original plan. Who knows? To do Big Pose and then Ganon's. I could see that.
Yeah.
Just
Ganon's
being
is
a little
reasonable
bit
as well,
more
for
thorough.
sure. Like,
Yeah.
Ganon's and, like, Training Grounds both offer about the same value right now.
With long shot
Um,
especially. And if you know
Yeah,
you're gonna go towards the Gerudo Valley anyway to check what the song is at Requiem, well, you might as well go Ganon's first, right? With that logic,
mean-
because you could find Strength 2 in here, and that makes GTG better. What if there's an item only behind Strength 2 in GTG? It's always kind of a risk. So
And,
or maybe
yeah,
you just go Forest with the Strength, like...
the other thing is, like, where are you going to go from Ganon? So you're either going to warp, okay, FMZ hasn't checked the Bolero warp yet, or you're going to walk out and do Big Pose, and then go to Gerudo, which is what he was about to do anyway. So I think out of here, he's got a couple of good, like, really good options.
It's a good point in chat. He doesn't have Prelude yet, so might just be valuing it a little bit more because of that. I think it is a little weird that he checked the songs, but
Yeah.
he doesn't. He might be a little concerned in terms of like, what if he doesn't get good warps and he's just stuck with what he currently has, and then he has to walk a lot. But you could just go from Serenade to GTG anyway. But I don't know if he likes Ganon's too. Like that could be a kind of an effect of that too.
Is this a dip into Forest? Yeah, this is a dip
Wow.
into Forest from Riley.
Okay. Dipping progression, always a good thing. Well, as long as you don't make it like, 3 or 4 trips in a seed or something, always feels just terrible. But it's always you want to be on the careful side. But at the same time, it's something that you know you're going to do in a seed, right? And that's always a safe play. Imagine if none of these out-of-logic checks just have anything and they're hard locked by his strength or...
Yeah, I was actually... I was going to say earlier when you said about like, oh, it's going to be the hammer in the Stalfos, I was like, I can't wait for the hammer to just show up in DC and it's just a strength on the Stalfos to put it into logic.
Yeah. I could see that being the case too. Like if Riley, if he recoils here, for example, I guess he doesn't really have to recoil. He has hover boots, never mind. Yeah, he can't recoil it. Okay. Trying to figure out like, what even else could it be at this point? You have 10 Skull, you have Chickens, you have Skull Mask. They only have Graveyard Weighted Hero, right? Any other Weighted Heroes in chat?
Oh.
Letter, okay.
Letter is big. Letter is
Big item, yeah.
Well, actually. Yeah, firstly, this is all out of logic from the bomb bag. Secondly, the letter, they can turn it in, but they still can't go to Ice Cavern. Anyway.
Well, with the hovers, you can go out of logic. You don't have to go out of logic.
And the letter and the scale are already out of logic, so why not?
Yeah.
The fuck you want, Drew? Why did you ping me? Or like summon me?
Alright, hey Trez.
Hey.
Having a good day, Trez?
No, I'm fine. I'm fine. What's happening here? What do we have?
Everything is out of logic. Literally, three items are in logic, and everything else is out. It's beautiful.
Yeah,
Sounds about right.
Hovers, magic, mirror shield, and logic. And like Epona's, I guess, too. Saria's. Bolero, which led to Minuet and Sun, so...
Trez, looking at the race predictions, if you were able to bet, who would you bet on? Considering who's bet on who as well, like the ratios and everything, who would you have bet on?
Let me see. Oh boy, 57 to 43. I'd probably bet on Riley. But I'm not sure.
It's gonna be a close one, I think. I mean, their openers were so similar, too. Really seeing a lot of the same decisions for the first, like, 20 minutes or something.
I could actually, I have a better idea. I will just start the seed now and then win against both of them.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Oh,
and then I get all the bids.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's how it works. I believe in you, Chaz.
Yay. Pog. Who would bet against me? Well, you're banned. That's all I have to say.
Well, I'm not playing this seed. I'm not doing that.
Why is FMZ in fire?
Oh, Chaz.
The tent was at Temple of Time, right?
For what? For fire fluid?
Fire, yeah.
Yeah, FMZ should know this, but maybe he just like forgot temporarily. I don't know. It's could be easy to forget something, especially when you're in a bracket match. What, 5 rounds deep now in the losers bracket? The loser here gets sent home, so I can imagine that getting to you at certain points, especially. So I don't really blame him too much. Forgetting something like that's pretty minor. Thankfully, he's locked out, so he can't get too punished for his decision either. It's like a 2-minute time loss maybe. We can easily make that up in a 1v1 setting, especially. Like, there's a lot of time that you can give here and there to lots of different things versus like in a weekly race, a huge race, qualifier race, a lot less room to move. So I think given that, I think it's fairly minor. Ooh, there's another bow.
Also
that
locked.
It's also bomb locked.
Beautiful.
Okay.
This
All right.
this is
Alright.
this is something.
That one's not specifically bomb locked, whereas the market one was, though. Kikaron has Kakuri sword! You need the prescription and the hero. Okay.
So FMZ grabbed the prescription. Riley didn't. Riley left it there.
Wow.
Also worth noting that if that also, I think, rules out all dungeons for Requiem for ZL. because you need Zeel to get to King Zora to turn in a prescription. So you can't do your all dungeons, your Stone Deku, without having Zelda's Lullaby first. So they logically have to cross.
Yeah, and he found the hint first over Riley too. Like, that is super huge right now. Smash your keys to help FMZ. Just... Alright. Wow, so the only thing
Not
I feel
even
was
stand this
that...
sun for Fmzgun.
The only thing in field is that bomb bag, is that right? And it's way the hero. So I don't know. It's looking pretty good for my guess.
Okay. Okay.
Looking
Yeah.
pretty good.
Yeah. And we've seen all of field now, right? Riley just did the last. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. It's just a bomb bag.
I can't
So
wait
the
for it
hammer
to be
has to
unpredictable.
be early, but it's the hammer. You don't care about the hammer. At this point, you just break logic. You just ignore it.
So weird. This is such a weird seed so far.
It's fine. At this point, after you get bombs, everything's in logic. You don't care about the hammer, so you can ignore that part.
Yeah.
You just act like you're in logic at this point. You just treat it as though you're in logic from here on.
Yeah, you know the bomb bag's required. You found all of these items that are all bomb locked. Like, kind of have to at this point. And you know Valley's dead too, and Fire. Unless it's Crater Fairy Fountain. Unless something is there.
If
So
that's the deciding play, yeah.
It's not fully out, but yeah, you're not gonna do chickens in this scenario. not even, like, I don't know, for an hour or something. Maybe then, when you're like running out of things, doing child cleanup or something, but they're probably gonna check 10, 20 skulls at some point anyway too, so can't really see either of them ignoring that entirely. I know Riley's gotten a couple skulls too. I don't know about FMZ. Have you seen how many skulls you guys? Ooh, there's a slingshot as well, top of Fortress.
What?
Getting a bit of buffering on my side.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you're way ahead of me there. You said, like, there's a slingshot on top of the fortress. It's like Riley's jumping up to, like, the higher level. I'm like, is that?
Well, I'm not going to talk about items anymore. Let's just talk about the runners.
Yeah, no, I haven't seen the skulls, really.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Let's hear from FMC now.
Oh, right. I was about to be like, wait, Riley's like nearly missing 1500. He got the hint. He's, yeah.
Yeah. Am I still ahead, chat? Okay.
FMZ's just grabbing a skull on the wall of forest.
Okay, I'm gonna refresh.
6.
Hopefully I can quell my future sight here just a little bit.
Okay.
I'm so excited to see the Stealthos chest.
This is where Riley goes right side first. Oh, he actually did.
Wow. Yeah, you just bombed the Mimos for me. Is that the same point you're at?
Yeah, he's quick spinning a thing.
Okay.
Trying to quick spin them now.
I turned off the time machine. I turned off the generator that powers it, so... we're all in the same time loop now, same time stream.
Alright, back over to pick up that hammer.
Yeah. I'm telling you, it's there.
Yeah, this is all that's actually happened is Soda's been moving backwards through the race this whole time.
The end is nigh. I wonder where this bomb bag is.
Oh, there's just more choose. Okay.
Okay, but I mean, would have worked out if I just assumed it's hammer, you know. Or you just get the boulder outside market. And yeah, that's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine, chat.
So yeah, the biggest thing right now is still that Hyrule Field Way the Hero hint pointing towards that bomb bag. Just means, who needs logic? Just move on. Just do checks. Just do whatever. Logic at this point is overrated.
Just find your items, forehead.
Like, the other thing is, like, logically the things they're needing are hammer and eventually Zelda's Lullaby, which needs lens. They're not going to particularly care about the hammer or the lens much. Maybe they need maybe need hammer eventually, maybe need lens eventually.
Oh, fun and games until you find Market Way the hero. You're missing lens and deep into a seed, missing one item. You're like, I don't know. Pick up lens. Just do it, right? Yeah, Namaha in chat needs lens still, so I think the runner should find it just for him. Be really nice.
I'm just remembering a race where there was a race a while back where Riley broke his glasses halfway through and was like, "Can I get an FPA call to repair my glasses?" Riley definitely needed lens at that point.
I don't know about that.
It wasn't in bracket or anything. It was like it was a 1v1 versus Sponge, and they just like stopped halfway so Riley could fix his glasses. Just taped them back together, carried on.
FMZ is Fours winning back to Ganon's. So they've really not placing Fours back again. And he's out of here.
Interesting. So this is probably getting the Poe and then going over to the Garuda area and wanting to... Because otherwise you reset the 4 auras, right?
I mean, I guess it depends on where you are going to go to from here for FMZ. So, I mean, I think for me, like, because we even saw him do Lake specifically as child, right? Or did they, neither of them went there, right? For Lake?
I don't think we've seen Child Lake, no.
Yeah, so he might be setting that up right now with Serenade. Might be turning out lighter. Might be wanting to go to Ice Cavern anyway. Who knows? But
I feel like one of them read the hint at Lake, and I'm trying to think why they would have been there as adults. So I guess one of them has done it. I just don't remember who.
Yeah, I don't remember either. Good to see a little bit of the maze here.
I was about to say not in logic, but again.
Yeah, it's not such a concern here. It's, I think really it's just they only have 2 way heroes.
Yeah, the hints are looking really valuable right now, actually, on that note.
I think River from FMZ. I think if you're thinking of hints, it kind of points you back towards Child, possibly, but I don't know. I would also want to get ZL too at the same time. So I like both plays for both players, really. It's just
Yeah.
It's more important to stick to your decision, follow through with it, rather than, well, like what if you're thinking of like going to G2G and then you clear G2G and then you go Child from there and not like you don't go all the way, for example. Or if you're FMZ side, like Ganon's into Forest into Child cleanup versus going to G2G. I think it's a big difference there, but the chances that you have to do both of these things happening on the two players' screens is pretty high, I think.
Yeah,
So I don't
think
we're small to waste time yet.
the other thing from FMZ in particular is leaving the Furrow's Wind in Jabu is going to be really... There's the hammer. We knew it had to happen eventually.
Yep. Screw zero.
And everything's in logic. And give it 5 minutes and everything will be out of logic again because Riley's crossing without the lens.
Yeah. It's the check Haunted Wastelands. As expected, FMZ's going domain, could turn into letter. Gets one hint here, and then if he goes river, he gets possibly 2 hints. At least one.
I kind of feel like if you're doing river from the top, you end up usually getting both, but... I guess that's... depends on the runner.
Another field hint. So we've only seen 2 Way the Heroes on the hint stones. It's just been graveyard and fields, 2 hints apiece. Gotta show the letter to King Daddy here. And doing some flame storage to like pull it out, and then he'll like kind of backwalk off the waterfall here. Light the torches to the diving game.
Sorry. Riley walked into the fairy fountain, having just crossed to go and pick up Zelda's Lullaby. And, you know, didn't pick up Zelda's Lullaby before going into the fairy fountain. Everyone's done it. Everyone has made that mistake. Basically, every single person who's played Rando has at some point walked into a fairy fountain without having ZL.
Did he actually play the notes? I didn't catch that.
No, he walked in, like, bombed the entrance, walked in, and then immediately walked out again.
Because the worst version of that's always you get to the platform, you just play ZL, and you just stare at it. You just stare at it. ZL is on the screen, nothing's happening. You're like, what? Market Way the Hero, okay.
So, which one do we think that's for? There was a bow, there was a prescription, and there was the hovers. We know those are, but, you know. Yeah, I think it's probably also the prescription.
It unlocks the Kakuri sword for Deku, Stone Deku, but I don't know. It's just looking like such an all dungeon seed to me. Like, they almost have all their stone items. They're just missing any form of strength. It's just really rough. Jabu did from FMZ, I think.
This will just be to set FW there, right?
Maybe. I can see checking the first chest. I don't think it's a bad play. It's something that you have to do anyway. And if you put
I think the question is,
it's fine.
I think the question is where you go from here, and I think the best play for FMZ would be... Oh, okay, we are going to see the first chest. I was about to say, I think the play that we're most likely to see out of Jabu is River. At which point, you don't want to be further into Jabu. You want to be like at the entrance, so you can just jump out and go to River. Hello, hello, welcome Raiders. You've joined us for a very stacked seed so far. You know, we're almost an hour in at this point, and they've got a whole host of items and Requiem on all dungeons. So it's at least logically probably required. We're yet to see if it's actually required because there are no strength upgrades to be found anywhere, despite finding both hook shots in Lost Woods. We have a Kakiri sword on Big Goron. We had a bomb bag within minutes.
All right. I'll make another prediction. I was close enough with the hammer. I just picked the wrong location. So I think there's strengths here in the seed. I'm gonna bet that Deku has their first one, and then the second one will be in water.
I definitely think one of them is in Deku.
Yeah, it seems pretty likely. It's a big location for them right now. They don't have a lot of huge areas available to them. Ooh, Nocturne, Vanilla. Oh wait, no, that's not Vanilla. What am I? I've been playing too much Rando, dude. Yeah, that's Vanilla. Oh my god.
It's nearby.
Close enough. Close enough. Ooh,
Oh,
wow. Wow.
The wrong chest.
Okay.
Amazing.
All right. Getting a shadow dip. Oh, or completion? Question mark. Right? Let's be able to complete shadow.
Yeah, just finish Shadow.
I like this play.
Eat your Forest Medallion dungeon seems pretty good. The hint that Riley just got was the check that FMZ is currently doing.
Just classic rando stuff. Now, anything that Riley finds in Shadow Temple here is going to be fairly far ahead of FMZ in getting it. So if it's anything that unlocks another dungeon, it's going to be a huge advantage for Riley going forward in the seed.
Definitely think Riley has the edge right now. Like, it's always that thing with every race. Is like, it's very difficult to say this person's winning, this person's losing until the race is pretty much over. But you can say who's like ahead or behind, who has like that advantage. And right now I put that on Riley's side. I think Riley has the edge right now. Mostly because Zelda's Lullaby is going to be huge. And FMZ's biggest advantages right now are the Ruto's Letter, which Riley is going to go to Ganon's eventually. Like, that's not a big place to skip out on. The hammer, okay, maybe useful, maybe not. Riley will know it's early. The big one is the Kakiri sword. The big one here is the Big Goron hint.
Yeah, it really doesn't have that yet. It was, I think, Crater Wall.
Mm-hmm.
Upper Crater, so...
And even that might not matter.
It might not.
It probably will, let's be fair.
It's still an hour to the seed, and you have so much available still. So many items left to find. Not even one strength yet. Like 90-minute mark, we might get one strength at that point, maybe. You might find them both in, like, Shadow. It's a possibility. Nothing's been strength locked so far. Oh, except for some G2G stuff, I would imagine, but we don't know what's there yet.
Mm. I don't think what other hints Riley is likely to walk past, because we haven't seen the second copy of the Big Goron hint.
We haven't seen a river play either yet. I think could very well just be in there.
How have we not seen? How have we not seen a river play yet? Like, that's actually really surprising at this point, I think.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Like, if it was one or the other, I'd be like, yeah, okay, fine. But the fact that neither of them have done river is always like, wait, really?
I thought for sure FMZ was going to go river after domain, but I think he just wanted to set up lake primarily, because he didn't go there in his opener, so... Yeah, I'm fairly sure that's the only reason he went to lake in the first place. It's just on his way to GTD, being a little bit more thorough. Because if there's an item in adult lake too, we haven't seen child lake, I don't think, from Riley, right? We have that confirmed yet?
I'm pretty sure we haven't.
So if that's the case, then yeah, like it could still be very close here, even though, like I said, if there's an item in Shadow, for instance, pretty big advantage for Riley, but again, if there's one in Adult Lake, that's an advantage for FMZ, and he has a Kakuri Sword hit.
Right, it's that good old, like... Again, like, I think Riley has the advantage here because everything he's doing is definitely required, whereas everything FMZ is doing could pay off, maybe. But there's still enough missing that, like, one check can swing the entire race right now.
Oh, for sure. And welcome Raiders from KC Necro. Hello. Bonjour. I should say.
I love the idea that Riley is now rice pudding. That's amazing. But yeah, everyone joining. We have Stone Water again, of course.
I don't know about you, but I love Waterstone. Just such a... Oh, it's so good. Good meme.
I know there's been talk in the Discord recently of somebody trying to make like a compilation video of all the highlights from this season, and that one's definitely in there.
You have to put it in there. It's... Ooh, scale 2. Shadow Temple.
Oh, nice, nice.
Wow,
On the one hand, it could push Riley back towards
Lake.
And on the other hand, he still hasn't set up Scarecrow, so it probably won't that much. Not for a while, at least.
Yeah, we won't see that check regardless. No Iron Boots yet for either player. Could be good, could be bad, could be nothing.
Oh, I didn't see. Did Riley find a key on the strength locked checks?
Only that gold scale. And
Okay.
yeah,
Oh,
I
the
think
boss
DK,
key.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's big, that's big. Sorry, I was too busy seeing what FMZ was getting from the lab roof. It was nothing, it was a blue pig.
That is quite big, so there's probably not going to be a strength in here. It'll be strength block anyway, so it has to be 2 or 3 if we do find one at this point.
Oh god, please be a strength in here. That's beautiful. You have to go all the way through shadows of the maze to get strength logically, so you can come back and get the boss key. Oh.
Yeah, the seed really wants you to do chickens at 10-20 skulls. Like, it's just trying to find every way imaginable for you to just bait you into doing it. And watch it just be nothing.
Oh.
I'm here for it. Ooh, not getting the bomb chew set up here.
It's killed the skull now as well, so the targeting is definitely a little more awkward. Four. There we go.
Okay, there we go. Some purple rupees. Oh no. So in terms of how much chews cost, that was almost cost effective. I think he used 5 or 6 chews for 50.
Also, yeah, for what it's worth, everything locked by Zelda's Lullaby, including Nocturne, is logically locked by Lens. But, well,
Yikes.
I don't think Riley is going to care too much about one
No. Well,
otherwise
Market Way the
useless item.
hero. Market Way the hero.
Sure, that's already had a bow, a prescription, and hovers. There was another bow, so it can't be that one. But
Right.
prescription and hovers, and a prescription leads to Kokiri Sword. So, yeah.
Oh, for one, I'm just waiting for the last item. So we're in S4 mode. We still have to do lens game. No lens yet. And it's in like light trial or some garbage.
Oh, the good old, yeah. I was gonna say it's strength 3 in Waterstone to
Ooh, yeah.
go to light trial to get your lens to get your last item, right?
Yeah, well, I did say my prediction of first strength in Deku, second in water. I said that lines up with my where I think. This
Why
going,
is
so. Oh, wow,
Fmzgun's
ice?
going ice?
Yeah, this is also what I mentioned earlier. Like they could just go here. They don't even have to get CL for it necessarily. Now that does put fountain. Oh,
Wait.
it's that lens!
Was that the lens?
Lens!
Was that the lens?
It's right there. It's been there the whole time.
Wow, I can't believe nobody's done River. We've not seen River yet. There's so much information left in River. There's our logic, apparently. That's what's here.
Nice. Well. Alright. Well. We'll see what he does here. It's gonna go to ice anyway. Yeah, it's a good point in chat too. It sets up prescription to be able to go get the Kokiri Sword, because you do have to unfreeze King Zora to start with anything less than that, but even so, like you can still mess that up and reset it to prescription, so this has to be in logic. So I think this is actually a pretty good play from FMZ, if you know that. If you think Kokiri Sword is required, it might not be still.
Do you ever just do that now? Like, oh, I mean, presumably after ice, or... But, like...
Yeah, just
you have Bolero, you have Eponas. Like, the trade sequence isn't gonna get any better at any other time.
Right.
Like, there's nothing else you get that speeds it up.
This is kind of the problem with not going to Requiem, because he has to know ZL has to be there, right? It's like very likely to be, so if you don't get that and Nocturne's just ZL locked, like we know it is, but FMZ probably should be expecting that a little bit. So I think expecting Nocturne here, I don't think that's why he's here.
I guess there's always... So, from FMZ's side, there is a 50% chance of getting a useful song here. If you assume that, like, Nocturne and Storms... What was...
That's Graveyard.
That's third graveyard?
Yeah. Huh. Well... Thought about going to the Fairy Fountain, realized, yeah, I definitely don't have
Nocturne was also there, so we've had Mirror Magic and Nocturne there already.
I don't think we saw the Sun's grave, did we? For the Sun Song check, actually. We saw Composer grave.
Read it, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think we did, but they have Suns?
I don't know, honestly.
So we know that FMZ didn't get that song for a while.
Oh, we did, apparently. Okay.
Did we?
Oh.
Okay.
Bye, Riley.
Yeah, Riley was the only one in the position to do that, so I'm not too surprised seeing that. But yeah, I think you could just go double down on Kokiri Sword. At the same time, I think Storms might be in here.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. From FMZ side, it's like, if you assume that only Nocturne and Storms are the useful songs, there is a 50% chance that FMZ gets something useful here, from his perspective. If you then add Prelude to that useful songs mix, it becomes so much better.
There's
And
not too many checks either that he has to orphan off by not getting the ZO first, so this could actually pay out pretty well for him.
yeah, basically the only big one being left behind here is the fairy fountain, and he's gonna beat Jabu at some point. He's gonna, if that is the boomerang, he's in trouble. But otherwise, like,
Oh man, that would be such a beating.
yeah. If that has or locks the boomerang, I should say.
Sure. Yeah, same thing. But
Yeah, it could be strength for a boomerang in light trial.
that's very true. I mean, we still haven't seen one, so I would assume they're all strength locked by one somewhere. So like, that means one could be like in forest or something. The
And
other
one in
is
spirit.
yeah, I can see it. Yeah, so that requires Requiem.
It's just gonna be all three strengths are in spirit.
Oh. that
And logically, you can beat both water and fire without strength.
and Deku. Yeah, that would be hilarious. We've seen both hooks there before in the same room. Riley's seen it. I know that for a fact.
Yeah.
I think for
Strength and ice. Never mind, then
There
there
we
goes that
go.
one.
There we go. There's the first strength question.
Finally. An hour and a quarter in, but
Yeah, Skyrim's a pretty efficient play overall. It's just time it takes to get here. That's the worst part. But like, if you're planning to unfreeze King Zora anyway for the trade quest, you're already there. Get you a song. It could be Song of Storms, like we were saying. You can also just find your progression here. It doesn't take too long to get it, so I don't think it's a terrible play.
can I just point out Riley with those like emulator strats of saving from the skull house to get to the Kakariko entrance?
I always like when you can do stuff like that. It's great. Like, I think in a recent seed I put Furores and Ganons, just like in the main room, and at the very end of the seed, I just didn't have a good way to go to a dungeon to go there, so I just walked to Ganons, walk in, Furores went like a room ahead. I'm just like so mad. I'm like, don't even care right now. Just, whatever. It's just like, always kind of amusing when that happens.
It's always better than the flip side to that, which is when you set FW, forget about it, walk into a room and just see this green glowing orb in front of you. You're like,
Sadness is what that is. FMZ does not have.
I think he does. He's managed to save to keep it, I think.
I don't think he reset it.
Magic 2. He didn't reset it, he saved. There's like, I don't know all the workings of this one because I've not kept up, but there's like a way to basically save and reset before the FW gets removed.
Oh, is there?
So you still warp into the dungeon and reset out of it, but you keep the Frostwind there.
Huh. Prelude. Vanilla. It's interesting.
Also, yeah, ready. Oh, lights and storms. This ice was so good.
Okay. Well, that's probably the rest of the items we need to unlock the seed. Assuredly. Maybe not. But I feel like this is gonna really propel FMZ forward. Even though he's a shadow behind Riley, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
depends on how early Riley goes to turn in ladder
Oh,
and
it's
onward
time
rise.
for a Kakiri sword.
Ooh. Yeah, he's got. By the
Perfect.
way,
Love it.
I know you're on the way to do this, but you should probably go do this. It's like, thanks, Seed. Got the frog.
So here's the other thing. Normally I would be like, okay, and then you go through Lost Woods and you come out of Kakiri Forest and walk down to Lake from here. But FMC can probably fit in the river checks in time on the way out, right?
I mean, he's gonna do them. Ooh. Oh,
You've got
think of the
3
value. Yeah,
minutes.
think of the
Yeah,
value.
like
Because if you just go straight to lake here, you're gonna have like a minute or less on the timer left if you're quick about it. But like 45 seconds maybe if your field gives you any trouble, or I don't know if you have any controller issues or anything like that. Oh, I guess FMC won't have any controller issues, but yeah, it looks like he's gonna at least do open grow here, and this way you get to look at the lower RP. So I think he'll have about 30, maybe 20 seconds left on the timer once he gets to lake. It's pretty safe.
I think FMZ's controller issue is that his controller is in fact a keyboard. That sounds like a pretty big issue to me.
I mean, he does well with it. You can get a 49 on Tepe with a keyboard. Like, okay. I mean, if you can do that, you can.
Jesus.
Tepe, the true test of if your controller's viable. Another market.
So we went from having one Way of the Hero hint to having 2 copies of all except one at this point. In maybe, 30 minutes ago, I think we only had 1 hint.
Yeah, we're pretty much in the dark. It was a long time ago. Oh, we're Riley gonna get the hammer right now. Still unknown if we actually need that.
So for everyone who's joining and has missed stuff that's happened here, the big differences are the Mirror Shield is on Dampe, Din's Fire is at the entrance to Gerudo Training Grounds, and Riley has beaten Shadow with that after crossing the desert to get Zelda's Lullaby, Nocturne in the Composer Grave, and is basically a shadow ahead of FMZ there, which is also where the gold scale is. The flip side to that is that FMZ has done Ice Cavern, and also has a hint that Big Goron has the Kakiri sword, and Ice Cavern had Strength, Light Arrows, and Song of Storms.
Yeah, the huge difference that even led to that in the first place is FMZ went Ganon's first and found Letter and Water Trial.
Mm-hmm.
So unless Riley goes there, you won't even have that as an option available to him. You know, you can't jump over King Zora, unfortunately. Not in the tournament's seeds here, but you know, can get that fixed somewhere else. The weekly seeds, for example, can do that now. But we'll need to go Ganon's to get the letter eventually at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And FMZ turning in that frog. Yeah, so on these Season 4 seeds, it's closed Deku, so you do need that Kakuri sword to open up Deku. In this seed, it's a stone. Might not be required, but I mean, it's still Deku. It's still a huge number of checks.
What is it? Is it 7?
Yeah, seven check, but
Seven
you can do it
checks.
under 5
The-
minutes, potentially, is a really good return on your investment.
Mhm.
And it might actually be all dungeons, too, with Requiem on Ocarina of Time.
Mm.
Still haven't seen where a second strength is, so we don't even have that as an option available to us. I kind of like that from Fmz side, like, not crossing until you at least get strength 2, potentially.
That was
might be-
really well done by FMZ there, by the way. Warped
Yeah.
incredibly quickly with the Bolero, got the rolls across, like entered at the left at the top. That was the... You don't see this very often because how often is Big Goron required? So it's always really interesting to see the players who get it right and know exactly what they're doing to do it.
Yeah, the big thing there when you warp to do this is to play the warp song, like Bolero, before the timer hits the top left. Otherwise, you're going to have a bad time.
Mm-hmm.
You have to do the whole trade sequence most likely over again. You just won't have enough time to roll the bigger on, but assuming that's the case, it's not too bad. It's pretty... I wouldn't say free. You have to be a little bit careful because it's not the 1 second, but it's really nice. It saves a lot of time. Flip side, if you fail it, you also lose a ton of time. So you have to be pretty confident that it works for you. We're going to see Forest here from Fmz get more progression done for him.
Yeah, both of them have, or will have by the time FMC's done with Forest, will both have a medallion dungeon done, and quite a slow one in both cases, over the other. But both are missing both are missing the item that the other has to get through them. In Riley's case, he needs to go to Ice, and in FMZ's case, he needs to go to Gerudo Training Grounds.
What a palooza of a seed.
This is fun. This is the kind of seed, like, I'm a big fan of generally, where, like, you get handed a bunch of stuff early, but you don't know exactly what you're meant to do with it, and there's just, like, a handful of different options open, but it isn't like the whole world is open and you're looking for one item. It's like you're still looking for a handful of things, and this is closed off, and this is out of logic, and these, to me, are the most interesting seeds, the ones where you have a lot of plays available, but some are much better or much worse than others.
Yeah, it's very much not a linear seed, and that's kind of like the draw to Season 4, and a big reason why a lot of stuff changed in the way it did. It's to get that kind of variation in routing, in terms of how it plays out, especially with random spawns, closed Deku. It's a lot of changes and kind of changes the play.
It's also just like a particularly standout seed for it, I think, because generally speaking, Season 3s were very linear. You got handed a bunch of items and you did your locations, and it was always pretty obvious what your plays were. In Season 4, generally, you don't get that many items and you just get bottlenecked into like the same 1 or 2 locations, and then that opens up one new location. And this one's been very generous very early. Like this is like a real, I don't know, standout seed.
Yeah, definitely. It's been interesting going through it so far. Seeing a chickens play from Riley, what do you think about that?
He will do this. Riley is incredibly thorough with the way he plays. He came here earlier at night without suns, so he couldn't do it then. And Dampe was more important because of that graveyard way of the hero, but I'm not surprised to see him doing it at this point. I'm not generally a big fan, but, you know.
Yeah, I wouldn't be caught dead doing this for a while yet, but I don't know. I think for him, he's like maybe a strength or a letters here. Boomerang could also just be here. It can still pay out. It could actually just be the other strength. But at the same time, you have Ganon's available. We know it'll pay out. Riley doesn't. So he's kind of have to weigh that a little bit. He just came from Domain and Lake. Just got the hammer at out pitching, setting up Skull Mask. So he's being, yeah, like you said, very thorough so far. Hoping it's just like an item that he missed in Child.
Riley's play is very much focused on like efficiency and thoroughness. Like he will skip out on things like Ganon's castle if he thinks he's going to go back there with more items later. But he will, like, there's nothing else for him to do here, so he's going to do this while he's here. Bottom of the world doesn't count as here. It's its own location.
I can see FMZ skipping out on GTG for a while as well. Oof. Just a bottle of milk from Andrew. Thanks, I guess.
So Riley was about to go adult again there. I was about to just like be like, okay, I don't get this. This makes no sense. And he walks out. I was like, okay, well, this makes a little more sense.
Like splitting checks a little bit too much, splitting your play a little bit. Like if you're gonna do child cleanup, at least just go all the way. It kind of seems like what he's doing.
It is a little awkward doing this when you don't have storms. Like I'm never a big fan of the child cleanup play, which like I feel like everybody has that at some point where they're like, all right, here's a bunch of stranded child checks that are all really inefficient. It's like Goron City and like chickens and Skull Mask and maybe Dampé depending on the seed, and then like target in the woods because you've just like isolated that on its own. And I don't like doing all of that without storms.
Yeah, I think for Riley, he's not necessarily completely out of logic, but it's kind of the dangers of staying out of logic for majority of the race. You're not really concerned about that sort of stuff for a while, but then once you're back in it, it's like, well, okay, now what? So you kind of have to choose, okay, do I go adult now? It's another age change. Do I stay child for a while? Looks like he's gonna go to Goron City.
This makes sense though. This is like, again, if you're going to clear out these areas, be thorough about it. Riley is knowing that there's nothing else here. He's just going to do absolutely every check here. The only reason this feels bad is like, when is he coming back to do like frogs? If Frogs in the Rain has an item here, like that's pretty much it. Because he's presumably going to go from here, do the remaining Lost Woods checks, go through the river. Seasick gamer.
Meanwhile, FMZ is almost done with Forest now. So the green Poe heading to Ganon. The purple Poe coming up.
Alrighty. So this is our last check in Child Goron City, right? Yeah.
Don't think he did Hot Rodder. Did he do Hot Rodder?
I think he did that
Did he
early.
first?
Yeah,
Okay.
with the choose.
Okay. Oh yeah. Yeah, I think so. Gonna check Skull Mask.
So I think the other thing that feels really bad for Riley here, and it makes perfect sense in his situation. The difference is his situation is very different to what we know. I mentioned, doing a child cleanup without Song of Storms. He's also clearing out Child Lost Woods. Well, I just guess that is Lost Woods. without having a Kokiri sword. Which we know is available, but he doesn't.
He still hasn't gotten that. It was Crater Wall. Like, it's... Oh, not a good location.
And the other one's on the way to ice, or on the way out of ice.
Yeah.
And he
Walk
didn't pick up the
behind ladder, I
prescription.
can't. Yeah.
He didn't pick up the prescription, so he's going to eventually go to ice, see that hint on the way out, and be like, I'm
Fuck.
right here to turn this in, and I don't have it. Oh no.
That's also assuming that he doesn't forget about it. And you could easily forget about it in a scene like this. Like, that was way before Shadow, Crossing Wasteland. He's done so many things since then that it's not in the forefront of his mind, assuredly. Even if you find that hint, it could still be like, where was that shit? Kind of a situation. So, he's got to be really careful in his plays from here on out. I think he's aware of that. He's still missing quite a few things.
Also, for what it's worth, since it's being mentioned in chat, I do think FMZ will check downpay before he goes to do Deku Tree. I would not be at all surprised to see him set time a day before going back to Child. Using... Oh, sorry, to save as Child, end up outside the market, walk over to Cax, play Suns there, and then after that play Minuet out.
Yeah, what do you think FMZ does after Forest?
I've got to assume Deku Tree. I've got to assume Deku is like... went for it.
Keyboard one cycle.
Yeah, I was going to say, if he keyboard one cycled PG, I'd just like, tournament's done, just drop it. Like, just hand the win to FMZ the whole tournament.
Yeah, match over. Match over.
But yeah, now I've got to assume FMZ will go towards Deku. It's one of those things of, you've just played towards this whole... You've just done the whole trade quest for this Kokiri sword. You want to make that do something for you. It's like, the other argument is cross over to GTG and then go and get your Zelda's Lullaby from the desert. And if you were going to do that, why wouldn't you have already done that? That said, it might be the kind of thing where he's just not kind of thinking it through perfectly and isn't going like, oh, Zelda's Lullaby has to be in the desert. And Forest is almost notoriously good at this point for giving people a lot of thinking time to plan out their route.
Yeah, nothing changes too much in Forest, so it's very good for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't think he's crossing yet. Otherwise, he would have just played Serenade, right?
Is this the Storm's Grotto?
I guess so. It is. I mean, it's a pretty fast check. It's right here.
Yeah, you're right here.
Never
Got
gonna be
Storms.
back. Yeah.
Yeah. Alright, I'm seeing a lot of bets in chat, and I'm gonna have forgotten all of them by the time we actually see anything.
Yeah, it's moving too.
Pretty much everybody put left first. There were like 5 people who put right first, and everyone else put left. So
I'm always team right.
I'm always LLRRL. Lon Ranch Ritos letter. Yeah, I'm out.
Oh, Trez is full left. Wow.
Is anyone's?
Usually not. I mean, it's a 1 in 32, and I didn't see like 64 guesses, which would be what I would guess would be needed on average. But yeah.
No, there were a couple who were close,
It's
but
nothing anyway. Joke's on you, chat.
So whoever said right as the first chest won this round because you saved time. Got eliminated earlier and just left.
Yeah. Okay, yep, Z is definitely gonna go there.
Yeah, I've seen the Gerudo play, yeah. Again, I'm a little surprised this didn't happen earlier, and just is now, but
Such a good play. I mean, he found something
Mhm.
nice that led to progression. He did that, now he's coming here. He really hasn't done a whole lot else, so...
Yeah, the only awkward part of this is the Kokiri sword. I'm doing the whole trade quest and then just kind of not following through on that. But like,
yeah,
well,
but
the way it's working out is, yeah, it's still
be very
got that
good.
open for later.
Yeah, it is an interesting kind of wrinkle in this.
Oh, meanwhile, Riley is on the way to Ganon's, so he's going to get the letter. Presumably is going to follow that pretty hard, because I don't know what else Riley has at this point. He's running pretty low on options. So I assume he'll go Child, play Serenade to turn in the letter, end up doing Adult Lake at some point during all of this as well, and then head towards Ice Cavern and finally get that big Goron hint.
Yeah, that's gonna be, I don't know what he'll think about that. Surely not anything good. I don't know. I don't know, like, I don't know how you'd react to that. Like, would you rush it at that point? Like, what are you even missing? We know he's probably gonna get Forest done once he finally goes Ice, but, like, when does he go Ice?
But like,
He doesn't
what
have
does
that
Riley
much
have
available.
available after this?
Yeah. So it's also why I'm not too surprised seeing Fmzgun go GTG. Like, it's the last best play he has, I think, available currently.
I don't know, from FMZ's side, there's still Deku Tree. That's the bit that surprises me here, is that he put all of this off for this long and then chose to do it before Deku, but... yeah, at the same time, like, we'll presumably see FMZ do this, get ZL, get Nocturne, go over, finish Shadow, and then... well, probably do Deku Tree, because at that point it's,
So
yeah.
just gonna... okay. Yeah, no, I think a big part in coming here instead of Deku first, the age changes, right? You don't want to change age too quickly. Have we seen adult spawn actually?
Yeah, it's Kakariko from Field.
Okay. I mean, you never want to walk from there to market to age change. Probably a consideration for him. He doesn't have Prelude yet.
Sorry, FMZ stopping at 990 there with
Yeah.
1 arrow left. Like, you know 1500's dead, but damn, like, nearly.
So I'm pretty sure that definitely factors into the decision to do GTD first. You know, also comparing the two, if you know you have to cross wasteland for ZL anyway, you always gonna get the GTD first. And I think he knows that Riley's like 99% likely to go into GTG here with the song layout, the way that it is, so he doesn't know if he's gonna have to go to Deku yet. He probably, I mean, I don't think he knows for sure if Riley's even gonna go there or even go for the Kokiri sword, even if you do find the head. Like, you could totally just skip it.
FMZ's definitely considering the Furrow's Wind here.
Ooh. Ooh. I was thinking.
Nope. Okay. Continuing?
Yep. It's gonna keep going. Alright. Alright. Thought about it real hard there. It's important to make a decision and stick to it. In this situation.
Big plane just wasn't. Oh, right. Wait. It suddenly clicked. FMZ's not going to want to go to Deku until he can do bottom of the well as well. He went to do ice and got storms. And if he's going to do bottom of the well, he wants to full clear it, so he's going to want the Zelda's Lullaby, so...
Yeah.
This ends up being the best play no matter what. Because I was thinking, like, Training Grounds feel really bad when you know you've got all of Deku available and all of Bottom of the Well available, and it suddenly clicked that, yeah, he doesn't have all of Bottom of the Well available.
I think he's changed ages 2 fewer times right now. It might be 1 fewer right now compared to Riley. I know it's
Something
at least
like
one.
that. Yeah.
So like as efficient as Riley is being, and he's being pretty thorough as well, doing a lot of child checks that FMZ just hasn't done and might not have to do at all.
Hmm.
Yeah, really depends on once they converge, because the routes haven't converged yet. They've just kind of they were together for like a good 30 minutes, and then they just went all over the map. And now they're getting a little bit closer to coming back together, but not quite there.
It's kind of funny that, like, I don't know, 25 minutes ago or so, it was like, okay, they've both done a fairly long medallion dungeon that's locked by a side dungeon, but they're different ones. And now they're both slowly closing in on the one that the other one has done. Riley's picked up the letter so he can go to ice. FMZ's picked up the dins and can go and do shadows soon. As soon as he gets to the graveyard, which I assume after he gets Zelda's Lullaby, he's either going straight child to do Deku and Bottom of the Well, or he's going to go pick up that song. And if he picks up the song and gets Nocturne, straight into Shadow.
I think that even when they converge, FMZ is going to be a little bit ahead of Riley.
Right, I think so, yeah. At this
Like
rate.
the Curry Sword. And it looks like, unless there's like some overworld check that we just haven't seen yet, I think there's gonna be something in a dungeon. We don't know which one yet. It'll be interesting to see on who gets there first and what it is.
Riley not getting the hint here. That's fine. He doesn't need this one. He can get the one at Ice Cavern. The issue being, he then won't pick up the prescription when he's child. It would have been better to get that one, but he will get kind of bailed out on it.
He does know the rank chest is dead, so he's not going to go into Jabu.
Yeah.
Could read the left hint and the back hint as child. I don't think he will. He doesn't know that Graveyard is double way the hero because the third one was in Fountain. We haven't seen a fourth. So I could see, like, missing away the hero in that situation, I could see him checking the Fountain as child after turning in ladder. I kind of don't think he will, though. I kind of agree with you. So it's going to be a couple age changes in addition to what FMZ's done already.
Right, yeah.
A couple minutes here and there. The fact that Prelude is going to help Riley a little bit, but it still doesn't make up the time for the age changes, unfortunately. We'll just see how much it comes back to affect him.
A little less hiking, but a little more time travel to make up for it. And with fairly generous warps, the hiking doesn't mean much.
These time machines eat through a lot of my power bill every month, so I have to turn it off every now and again.
Like, their spawns are so friendly anyway. Like, Prelude does pretty much nothing right now.
It's fair, yeah. It just doesn't add a ton of value to kind of their routes, and it doesn't like open up any huge areas or anything like that. It's not required for anything other than being efficient with your travel. So as great as it is, doesn't really matter in this situation. Not yet. Could matter in the end. It's something like if the other player doesn't have Prelude, they just never got it. And you can just, boom, go to Temple Time and walk to Ganon's instead of like wherever the hell you spawn. Walking to Temple Time, then walking to Ganon's. It's a lot quicker. Even something like that could make up a huge time difference like that.
In this one, like, CAC to field to Temple of Time, or to pick up your boss key to Ganon's, is kind of slow. Even then, not the worst, but a little bit.
The deeper you get into this tournament too, the the less that execution has a huge factor in a lot of races. So I think this could be extremely close in the end of things if it becomes more of a kind of a full clear kind of a seed. But we'll see. A little bit of time off from that. Ooh,
That
so
was the hint.
He did read the hints. Is opening up Jabu to put Furores in here, so I think the Furores definitely pushed him in here. If he didn't have that,
Also,
I'm not sure if he goes in.
For what it's worth, I know that Riley is very outspoken about people in big races reacting like visibly to hints and stuff. He's not a fan. He's like, you're just wasting time. You just lost like 4 seconds spamming your shield before you started moving again. So Riley will be reacting to that, you know, internally. he will have he will be hating it just as much as everyone else would, but he's not going to show that when it would cost him time to show that.
Yeah. Well, it's brackets too, and getting to the graveyard hint too. Not that that's really important for him because he's already gotten everything from there that we know of. I mean, I guess we have seen all the checks there now, so right? Unless did we see Container Grave, the Flames chest?
Yeah, he did that because he had Magic and Dins before grabbing Nocturne.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think it was like a bloopy or something, so I just forgot about it. But...
less important for Riley to grab the graveyard hint. All that tells him is that he's not going to find another way of the hero that could be useful.
It might be even a little disappointed finding that. It's just like, okay, I don't have more direction at this point. Might as well just go ice, you know. I could definitely see that happening. And he doesn't really have anything else either. Unless he wants to do skulls and things like that. He's already done Skull Mask. He's already cleared most of Child, if not all of it. He's already done Chickens. It's gonna pick up the prescription.
Alright, so yeah, they've kind of crossed those paths. We got the Zelda's Lullaby being picked up by FMZ here. We've got the prescription for Riley, so he can go adult and go to ice. I assume he'll go to ice on the way turning that in. At which point he'll grab strength and storms. FMZ is going to be notably ahead here, I think. Like, FMZ definitely has a big lead here. There is still that Mirror Shield, which he should know from the hints.
Well, he's got Ice and Forest versus just Shadow for FMZ right now. So if you just take that into consideration and doing the trade sequence, like, FMZ's definitely ahead. And if he skips all the child checks too, that's even more time. I might never do those.
Yeah, like FMZ's ahead, but has that time to lose to those checks potentially. But like that's kind of the way it always goes at this point. Is somebody will be in the lead, and what that means is they've done more of the stuff that's required and less of the stuff that wasn't. And then the question becomes, how much of that kind of useless stuff do they end up, quote unquote, catching up on?
Yeah, it depends on the seed, obviously, but it depends on the individual player too, what they've done, what they haven't done, what's actually required for the seed. It all comes together at a certain point, which we're getting pretty near. And the only things left that we need to even find in the seed, we need rank for Jabu. We need second strength and, well, I guess we know where Mirror Shield is, so really just second strength for Spirit. And that's it? Just 2 things? We're good to go?
Yeah, think so.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Might need strength 3. in some form.
Might
But
logically need irons.
yeah, yeah. We love
In more
luck.
ways than one. Whether it's for Requiem or whether it's just for an item in water, we might logically need irons.
Yeah. So they have one scale, so like that's the one good thing that I always like when scale super early. Like it was a DC the seed this first 30 minutes or something. It's always kind of like a backdoor option. If you find second scale, kind of like Riley did, you can kind of avoid that as long as it's not central pillar. I'd be more concerned if like Iron Boots were way to hero, for example, in this seed. Like if that were the case, then it's like, oh, okay. Take it a little bit more seriously.
God, keyboard big pose looks like it's apparently the hard thing with keyboard. That's the one that's given FMZ trouble today.
Yeah, if you have to change your angle at all, you kind of have to just like tap the key, as far as I understand it. So, versus like kind of a small like smooth movement with analog stick, just seems a lot harder, just in general. This is like pretty much the same play that we saw from Riley too, right? Like he did big pose into shadow or something.
Right, and that's actually really good timing for FMZ as well, because that's the second magic that tells him that, well, actually, there's still two things left in the graveyard for you to worry about. And one of them is available as either age, and one of them is child only. Just go straight there.
Is he just going straight for it?
I think he's going child anyway. He's going to go do Deku Tree in bottom of the well. So it just conveniently lines up that...
Over shadow though?
He didn't pick up Nocturne.
Oh, right. You do need that. I just kind of discounted that. Okay, so that's even not as much time as that he's ahead of Riley, but he still has a couple things to do. It's really nice that he doesn't have to, 3-trip, 4-trip like Riley did for Graveyard. So he picked up Mirror Shields, and then he went back and picked up Nocturne. And he was also there during Adult 1.
Right, this would have been really... This would have been really bad for FMZ if there was stuff in Shadow, but there was just a gold scale and we've not seen what that led to yet, so... Yeah. Which actually,
that bad for him.
On a related note though, we will see that from Riley when he goes to do the trade quest.
See what?
He's gonna use the gold scale to do the lab dive while he's there.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that scale 2 wasn't shadow. Yeah.
Oh, Riley already did it? Oh, never mind then. Okay.
Okay. Must have missed it. I mean, it makes sense too. He probably did it on his way to domain.
Turning in the letter, yeah. Makes sense. And team left. Team left wins.
Wow. Wonder how many of you are left shocked by that.
I mean, again, I said it earlier and I'll say it again. Whoever picked right first wins because the item was useless, so you just save time. You just get out of there quicker.
Yeah. Except that you do fall into the moat here, so it's night.
This is your reward for winning the lens game. Done.
Yeah. Like it doesn't. I don't think it saves time if you have to swim back every time like that. So like even just walking out a lens game would have been better at that point.
Oh, what, I'm playing Sun Song out of there? Nah, because you want it to be, like, definitively day by the time you get near the graveyard, because you want it to turn to night while Oh, you don't want to
Probably
just play
close.
Sunsong. Yeah.
Probably pretty close. Just like slightly unfortunate, it's the market to field rather than the owl drop as the spawn. Like if it was the owl drop, that would have been perfect. But I mean, that's still pretty good too. It's pretty much prelude.
Mm-hmm. Riley just narrowly missing the backflip input there to do the gainer up, but... So Riley... FMZ, sorry, just turned in 10, as Riley picks up his 18th skull.
Wow. I'm not sure how many exactly FMZ has. I know that... Oh, we know he has at least 10. 12 in chat.
I didn't see it, but I'm guessing he grabbed one in CAC just before turning that in as well, so...
Yeah. Have we seen a... I don't think we've seen a 30 hint, right? Or, no,
I didn't remember seeing it.
It's listed as dead in the chat.
Yeah, there were a couple I missed for sure, but I don't remember seeing it.
Writing most of the stuff down right now, but...
Okay, we have seen it apparently. I must have just missed that one.
Oh, next big round, okay.
Ah, okay, okay. Definitely a little preoccupied at the time that they were at Big Goron.
Yeah, I'm too busy losing my mind over Kakuri's sword, thank you. And we have now hit the 2-hour mark. Will anybody sub 3 this?
Yeah, Riley did not turn in prescription.
Huh.
That's kind of wild.
It doesn't even cost you that much time because you have Bolero and Serenade too.
And the thing is, like, right now, I actually think Riley's probably ahead, right? I guess if the trade sequence is required, that is a lot of, like, time that FMZ has already invested. But if we're just going with what we know,
yeah.
FMZ's done Forest, Riley has done Shadow. Riley is currently in Forest, FMZ is the wrong age for Shadow. Like...
He's not even in there yet, so,
yeah.
like, Riley's gonna be done with Forest first. I mean,
the edge is definitely on Riley's side right now. It's just a question of that trade sequence, and the trade sequence is long enough that that could be the turning point on that as well.
yeah. Like, where else is he gonna go, though? Stone Dungeons?
Bottom of the well.
Bottom of the well?
Yeah, that's the other big one. If Strength 2 is in Bottom of the well, and then... I don't know, where could Rang be, though, just to cause problems with that? Because at that point, if Strength 2 is in Bottom of the well, like... yeah, FMZ did the trade sequence, but... he'll also just be in Go mode, and...
It looks like FMZ's at least opening up Bottom of the well. He might be going to it before going to Shadow?
I think... yeah, I think this makes sense. FMZ is probably, at this rate, going to do Bottom of the Well and maybe even Deku Tree before Shadow. If he can hit Go mode and just, like... and, you know, like, the odds of one item being in Shadow, reasonable. The odds of both of your remaining items being there, pretty low. The thing that gets me with Riley's play is, why would you see the big Goron Kakiri sword hint, but then not turn in the prescription when you're in ice? That's the part I don't get. Like, if you're committing to skipping it, why even pick up the prescription there anyway?
Yeah, that's a bit of, like, kind of both plays. I'd rather commit to one or the other if I were him. I mean, you did get the hint pretty late too, so I think he wants to have it as an option available to him. He just doesn't want to go for it quite yet because he doesn't know if it's required. But once he does know it's required, then maybe he goes for it then. But it might be too late at that point. We'll see.
Yeah, chat pointing out, like, yeah, the stuff found in ice could be the turning point there, but I don't know, like, it's still an awkward one because, like, forest isn't good for checks. You're not going to find much in forest most of the time. Bottom of the well is the big one, but then you don't want to do bottom of the well knowing where your Kokiri sword is without having the Kokiri sword. So yeah, I don't know. It's an awkward one.
Also,
It's easy to
not
say this from the
necessarily-
outside.
It's not necessarily a sunk cost fallacy, chat. It's more of what I'm speaking to is making your decision quicker, not kind of waffling between the two, making both worse. It's not necessarily that he's done so much up to this point, but kind of just going for something.
Mm-hmm. And the reason to care about the Kokiri sword is the age changes. Age changes are probably the biggest time loss at this stage. You want to be as efficient as possible with it, so using that one child trip to do both bottom of the well and Deku Tree is so efficient. And if you know where the Kokiri sword is, going child to do bottom of the well and not being able to do Deku Tree just feels like a massive hit.
Yeah, I think he just really wants to find second strength before he even goes further in the seed, but I don't know. For me, it's just like second strength could just be in shadow. Ooh, boomerang.
Alright, just strength.
All right. Wow. Well.
So Fmz notably is going to be able to Feroz out of bottom of the well. That's a really nice trip out of here.
And if there's something in Jabu, then it's like, okay.
If there is strength 2 either here or in Jabu, I think, okay, that's strength. That's it. You just Feroz, you leave, you're done. I think I think that's bad for FMZ.
Yeah, that might be, yeah. Because, like, if Riley just goes bomb of the well, he's in go mode.
He forgot about his Feroz.
Well, we still don't know if Requiem's required, though, too.
Yeah, no, not a clue.
It's still in play. It's not over yet, but it's looking pretty good.
But even if Requiem is required, like, all that means is that Riley has to do the trade quest. He's still gonna hit go mode, and go mode... It's difficult because, like, is the trade quest alone enough that... If it was the trade quest and the Deku, it'd be like, okay, that's the difference between who wins and loses. I don't know if the trade quest alone is enough here. It's going to be incredibly close.
It will be close. Also, forgetting the Fmzgun129, it's a little fortunate there for FZ. Kind of like a minute.
You did remember, I guess, afterwards?
You did remember, yeah. At least it didn't walk there or anything disastrous, but... Yeah, all it takes is it to be like hard locked AD and one of your items that you need is in Deku. At this point, all it could really be is irons or strength 3.
Mm-hmm. And the irons would pretty much just be central pillar for these, so... Yeah, incredibly unlikely that they're needed, but...
They got Zora Tunic, right? I think? Fairly early. Didn't write it down though, so they might
I have no idea, gotta be honest.
They just have one wall at the moment, so it seems... I don't know, it's too hard to call at this point. For like
I guess the big thing... I guess the big thing to figure out if all dungeons are required here as well... Oh, sorry, that might swing things if all dungeons are required here, is if one of them does the dungeons in such an order, like, you know, FMZ goes to Deku first, and Riley goes to beat Water before Deku, or something. And Deku has irons on Goma or something like that. Like, it might change the order you do the dungeons in, and that could be a difference. It's not just a question of, like, is it all dungeons or not, or whatever. It's like, the order they do the checks in the dungeons they have to do might still make a difference. This is incredibly close. So yeah, to provide some context on all of this, right now, Riley is missing a couple of items that FMZ has from Bottom of the Well, but he's ahead in terms of, like, progression dungeons. FMZ has all of Shadow to go, and Riley has, like, half of Jabu behind FMZ, which is pretty quick when you're skipping all the checks.
He also has forward
So,
there as well. And
yeah.
just
And-
has to go bottom of the well for 2 items. And
that's
that might
absolutely
be-
Riley's next play, yeah.
Yeah. It's the best location right now for him.
So the entire question comes down to, Requiem is on all dungeons song. Do they need it? And it's just a case of go to Spirit, see if you get a key. See if you go through the rest of Spirit and get your boss key.
I think they both also have Roars of Spirit, I want to say.
I want to
Really
say you're
good.
right. I know at
Yeah.
least FMZ does.
Yeah. It's one of those seeds where, like, if you set it GTG accidentally, or maybe you do GTG after Spirit or something, walking across Wasteland could end up battering.
Also, yeah, mentioned in chat there, Riley is generally a very confident player, and B, the kind of person who, even if he thinks he's behind, he'll just be like, whatever, I had to do this anyway, so I'm going to make the best play, even if I think I'm losing off it. It's like, it's the best play and I might be wrong. So, Riley is not the kind of person to, like, metagame based off, oh, things went badly, so I'm going to take a risk. I don't know if that's the case for FMZ, but also, he's in go mode, it doesn't matter for him.
It's a good way to play, I think. It's kind of like the difference between, at least for me, like playing a seed like an async. If I just kind of think of it in that context, it gets a lot easier mentally. So you're not like worrying about, oh, okay, well, what if 60 other people in this weekly did this other thing and I'm X minutes behind everyone or whatever. Like, that may be true. It might not.
Playing your own game at your own pace, yeah.
Yeah, just kind of tuning out all the noise, I think, could be really helpful.
Alrighty, so Riley done with Forest, FMZ just about done with Jabu, which, yeah, I've got to assume at this point Riley is going to try and go mode Jabu, right? He's going to have an incredibly quick trip through there. The other 30 hint.
Yeah, I think it was a couple hands off from him and everything. Just doubly making sure. Especially if it's a 30 hint you're missing. I don't think he was, but... We're also missing sometimes hints.
2 by my reckoning, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we should sign 1500 rank chest, I think.
Definitely memeing a bit about the crate skip. The crate skip is surprisingly easy. I feel like a lot of people don't try it because they hear it's frame perfect and go, I can't do this. And it's like, no, you just mash. You just, the only part that's difficult is hitting forward and A on the same frame. And that's not particularly difficult, honestly. It's definitely one that takes a bit of practice. It's not one that people will get 100% every time. You know, while learning it, still just lower the platform just to be safe. But yeah, and also to Shadow's point, I was going to say, yeah, it's also one where the difficult part of it is you have to move directly forwards. Great. Keyboard's fine for that. 20 for Riley.
Just a Luffy.
I was almost ready to see Big Goron Sword there just to pay out a little bit more for...
Oh, yeah, that would have been pretty great, actually. Make it even closer.
Alright, which way... Okay, he is going to do Shadow first. I was like, which way is FMZ going to go here? Like, which one do we see first?
I think Shadow first is always safer in this situation.
Yeah, I think this makes sense, partially in that you want to see this, if you have irons required, if it ends up being all dungeons, there's basically nothing you're going to skip in Shadow. It doesn't happen. You pretty much never get to skip out on Shadow.
Well, I guess Spirit's nice. Again, like kind of Chad's pointing out here. It's enough it's all dungeons to reset your Feroz win. Maybe you can just clear it. You're pretty much done with the seed at that point.
That's true, yeah. And I guess it doesn't make much of a difference which way you go. I think
there's advantages to both of them. We know it'll pay out better to go Spirit, but in this situation, I think you can kind of make enough arguments for either.
Yeah, I agree. I was trying to think if the songs would make a difference, but not really. Like,
it's pretty close anyway. Kind of as a decision. I mean, they're both progression, so it's a little bit splitting hairs, but stuff like that can end up mattering. It just really depends on what we have left here. And now that he's in Shadow, now Riley's kind of on a timer to go to Jabu.
right, Riley's on his way to go mode. Not that he's aware of that yet, but, you know, we are.
Yeah, they're both taking the same Bomb of the Well route. Not really a whole lot you could do differently, other than just like play ZL and then go for Dead Hand first, and then you'd run it to both items. But that's kind of a weird route. So I wouldn't really expect to do that.
No, Riley is still going to be ahead though, because he's going to pick up the boomerang, go in, pick up strength 2, and then, I mean, firstly, assuming he remembers his. Wait, FMC just.
Oh.
What?
What?
Kept the Feroz Wind. He saved the Feroz Wind rather than reusing it. Yep, he managed to save the Feroz Wind in place rather than just recasting it, I guess. But this is him checking the...
Where was he? In Shadow.
He just did the Gibdo chest, I think?
Huh.
Like, I think he did... Did he do this... I thought he went out of that room. I thought he went further than just the first two.
Huh.
Okay.
If it's the first
Apparently
two,
not.
then this is
Okay.
a little bit better. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Oh, Riley didn't open the underwater near dead hand before coming in. So he's going to have a little bit slower bottom of the well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See if you can one cycle dead hand. Ooh, nope. Yeah, about...
And the key.
Oh, 30
Okay.
seconds. Okay.
Part 1 done.
Where's the boss key?
It's like stage 1, yeah.
What?
And for what it's worth, there are...
Look at the
God.
strat from FMZ. Wow.
FMZ has keyboard movement for every strat, and I don't understand it. It's incredible.
Yeah, look, just side hop while you hover in this room. I don't ever consider that. It's just cool to see.
So it's worth noting, by the way, the boss key in Spirit, I'm pretty sure, is placed before any of the small keys, before any of the items. It's like the first thing placed into the dungeon. There are 20 locations in Spirit. One of them cannot be the boss key because it's Twin Rover. So there is a 1 in 19 chance that any given check is the boss key. At this point, it's, 1 in 17. We'll call it 2 in 17 because the 2 checks on child side are what we care about. So right now, the odds are in FMZ's favor that you will, in fact, be able to clear Spirit. I say in FMZ's favor, in both favors, like both of their favors. But obviously, every chest you open along the way without getting the boss key makes it that little bit more and more scary. It becomes more and more ominous as you go.
Yeah, it's looking a little pessimistic right now. There's still a lot of chicks left. Still only the first 4 Spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Not looking too great. Only one small key. I think we'll know by Child Climb if it's probably here or not, but I mean, again, he still has Mirror Shield, like, he can do so many things in here. Only 2 checks are locked by Requiem right now.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on how good you are with Spirit Key logic too, you can kind of extrapolate a lot of things depending on the small key location, so at least for small keys, we'll know fairly soon if we need the child's side, but I don't think we do.
Yeah. Logically, I think we will. Almost 100% at this point.
Yeah, logical 4th.
Because yeah, that is the 1st and 4th key, logically, potentially. That's not what FMZ wanted. He needs 1 more key, right?
That was BK, right?
Yeah, he's missing 1 key.
I'm sure he's gonna find it.
Yeah. There, I think... Not quite has to be 1 in here, but it's incredibly likely. Like 40% plus? No. More than that. Anyway. Got the key. FMZ is done with Spirit.
Then he only has Shadow left versus...
And has Shadow, which he's done the first couple of checks on. And Riley has to do Spirit after Jabu. But Riley is throwing away a bit of time in Jabu here. This is already close and getting closer.
Did he reset? No, wait, no. Never mind.
He
I thought he did.
fell.
I thought he did rank chest earlier, like FMZ, but he didn't. You got the hint, right?
Yeah, he got the hint from
I think this is close.
Incredibly.
Other movement from here on out.
Yeah,
For
pretty
both
much.
players.
Got most of Shadow to do, plus Twin Rover. They both have Twin Rover, which can eat up a lot of time if she doesn't play nice.
Yeah. Yeah, it just comes down to how well they can execute, I think. I don't know who currently is ahead. It's super hard to tell right now.
If you'd asked me 5 minutes ago, I'd have said Riley, and now I'm a little... Yeah, I'm unsure.
Well, FMZ
Pretty
100%
sure.
knows it's go mode, so... I mean, as far as, like, mental stress, like, it's probably a lot lower for FMZ versus Riley still has to do the rest of Jabu, like... You know, what if he drops Rudo a couple times? Like, you know, I think a lot worse things can happen for Riley's side than for FMZ. FMZ can, like, void out in Shadow, and it comes down to how bad his Twin Robo is, maybe? Like...
Have you ever wanted to learn OoT on keyboard? Because FMZ makes me want to.
It's kind of sick, yeah.
Like...
Well,
really makes me want to like pick up keyboard because I'm like, damn, this actually looks like a really good way to play the game.
Looks not bad. I mean, he's got his controller input on his stream here, so
Yeah.
like it doesn't seem that difficult. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not like I'm gonna be competing anywhere close to where I am at currently. No less FMZs. So
It's a lot of keys. I can say that much.
yeah. Like it doesn't look like a walk in the park, even if you know what you're doing. That being said, it does look kind of cool, and I would give it a try. I would do it once, see what happens.
I need to get FMZ's advice at some point because I keep making jokes. So there's the DDR format, dungeon door requirement, and I'm planning to buy a dance mat, like a metal dance mat, to start doing like DDR streams. And I'm like, I have to do a DDR race on a DDR mat. I have to do this. But I was like, how on earth do you do movement? And like, how you don't even have enough buttons for a DDR mat to do this? Like,
Oh,
so I need to get FMZ's advice of how to play using just like cardinal directions and like a handful of other buttons.
I mean, I think it's technically possible on one mat, but you would have to use your hands for the third and fourth buttons, so that might be kind of difficult. Like, it sounds like you'll get ripped doing it, but like,
I think it would have to be two mats, one for directions and one for like the major buttons. Basically, but then which one do you leave out, right?
I got a better idea. I got a better idea. Why don't we just like have switches and we just use our toes to play the game? We just have 10 toes and 10 fingers, and that's way more than enough. You don't need more than that.
Alright, swim over time. We've got through the first phase, so
That's the
the
hardest
big
part.
kind of RNG side is done. Oh, I missed a hit apparently. Cool. So yeah, this is pretty damn close. I think Riley, I still give the edge here. FMZ's done the first two checks in Shadow. Like, those are pretty... Yeah, like, that's not the time-consuming part of Shadow. There's a lot to go.
Yeah, I think Riley's technically ahead. It's just it comes down to execution.
Mm-hmm. And I guess the order he does Spirit in as well could be a big deal. Boss Key was in the map chest, and there are people who will definitely go up, do like the child climb room, and then potentially go further up, grab the other chests up that way, and then come back down and grab the map chest on the way out. I don't expect Riley to do that, but it's possible.
Yeah, Fmz is gonna have to walk to Temple of Time and then walk to Cannons too. So like, on top of the time that I think Riley is ahead by, but I mean it's so close though that anything could turn it one way or the other. Having a bit of movement errors here at Fmz and Shadow already. Like even that could start to affect it too.
The Rang not... Navi not playing nice there with the targeting, so the Rang just going through the floor.
Yeah, Riley's kind of had I would say a difficult Jabu. A lot of small errors here and there. Spirit looked pretty clean from Fmz's side. See if he can continue it in Shadow.
I love that we have got this, like, C-stick versus keyboard thing going on right now, where Riley just tried to swing a stick and accidentally spoke to Navi instead because he uses the C-stick for every button, like, all of the items. So he hit up instead of left.
Yeah, I've been there before. I'm a C-sticker. I'm a C-sticker.
It's so bad. It's like, why? It's like the second worst part of a GameCube controller is the C-stick. The worst is the D-pad.
don't think there's a reason I do it. I just do it. I don't know. My hands are kind of big, so it just kind of hits my, or it fits my hand shape a little bit better. It's also more fun. I think that's an underrated aspect too. I mean, how often do you really accidentally Navi talk, you know? As long as it's not a huge issue, you know? Things like that won't really matter for the most part. Depends more on how much time it saves versus games, either way. It's different for everyone, I think. You can perform better on C-Stick than you can on buttons, even though buttons are probably better.
I mean, everything I thought about controlling this game has been thrown out the window with watching FMZ play, so I'm not gonna...
Yeah, it's really, really tough to say, you know.
Alright, Riley playing songs, but then getting his key. Oh, this is really close, isn't it? Is it actually going to come down to Twin Rover RNG at the end here?
Depends how bad it is. Twin Rover itself is very long, you know, it's, what, 3 minutes? 4? Close to it?
And the
I mean,
Kumi and Katake fight has definitely a lot of potential to be pretty obnoxious.
Go mode's really quick too, though, so... And having Prelude already versus walking into Temple of Time, I just think Riley's gonna win at this point. It's not a guarantee, though. Not.
Yeah, this is... I don't know, there's potential both ways. It's wild. Like, I've done commentary for probably, like... I don't know, 10 or...
The last small key was Shadow? Sorry.
In Shadow? No. But yeah, like, I've done commentary for, like, probably 10 to 15 races in the bracket now. And I swear, like, half of them have been at this point where it's in... Like, both runners are in go mode, and they still aren't, like... We still don't know who's gonna win.
I thought you said 10 to 15 years at one point. I was like,
10
really?
to 15 years. I've been doing commentary for 10 to 15 years, yeah.
Of Rando? It's impressive. But I didn't think you loaned out the time machine too.
Yeah, I don't know if, like, so many of these races being this close says something about... I don't think it's the settings so much as just everybody's really improved. Like, there were definitely some surprise names in the top 32, but honestly, I would say a good, like, 2/3 to 3/4 of the names that made top 32, you could tell me had finished, like, the #1 seed, and I'd be like, yeah, I can see that, that's reasonable. Like... Some more expected than others, but still, like, quality of players on the whole in the community has just shot up over the last, like, year or so.
Yes, qualifier season was a lot closer than last, and season 3 was close too. So, I mean, I think at one point it was like 20 or 30 places under top 32 are all determined less than 100 points each, or between all of them.
Something like that, yeah.
Something close to that. So like, you could have had a collection of 50 people that all make top 32, like the bottom half of it, and no one bats an eye. So, yeah, really exciting though as a racer to know that it feels that much tougher, but I think as the community improves overall, it just makes everyone better, so... It's both scary and also exciting, if that makes sense.
So, Riley in Goa mode on the way up to Twin Rover. FMZ in the Gibda room at the end of Shadow.
This is... Wow.
Riley
think
did
it's
both
that
checks in
close.
Child Climb and then used bombs to get out before doing the map chest and went back over to the torch, or to the door, where FMZ had the Furor's Wind and just grabbed the map chest, grabbed the key, FW'd back. So this is... FMZ gained a little bit of time on spirit routing here. This is actually still close.
Just don't use Dims on this round.
Boat Ride is so slow, but Bongo isn't. Bongo is so fast. Oh,
He still has Prelude though.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
even if he's behind,
Whereas-
he has to be behind by 2 or more minutes, and then he
I
might
don't
be.
think he does play on emulator, right? Pretty sure.
Yeah, he plays on emulator.
So it's actually going to be better for him, I think, to
Yeah, I think they're both on
save
emulator.
quit after Shadow than walk across CAC. Oh, he's going to get the song. Doesn't matter, even if he save quits, he's going to get the song. That,
Oh,
he's going to get the Burning
Oh,
CAC
the
song
CAC,
when he
the
save quits.
CAC.
That's bad. That's so bad for FMZ.
yeah, I think
Oh, yeah.
it's gonna be a couple minutes difference, but Riley looks to be ahead at this point.
I was thinking Prelude wasn't a big deal because I was like, oh, he can just, like, save quit and walk out. It's not, like, a long trek. It's not as big. But, yeah, no, actually adding Burning CAC is so costly. Right, 2 hits. Oh, that is an amazing position for them to stand in. Stand. Hover, fly, float, I don't know. Whatever you want to call
Standing
it.
in the air. They're standing in
Yeah,
the air.
yeah.
On top of their brooms. They're surfing it. See, but how are they floating when they're spinning around like that, you know? They have like
Magic.
Supermaning their broom, like alright.
Right, they were pretty friendly there, so... You know, if Prelude and Burning CAC didn't already settle it, I think that will.
Yeah, this is this is so close. Like it just takes one bad Ganon and either player could be ahead just based off of that. I mean, it's
If
all
someone
in Riley's court,
falls...
for sure.
Yeah. If someone falls to Dwarf, like, oh god.
It's over at that point, probably. Can he one cycle this? No.
Ugh, rough. I'm so bad at... Oh, I was gonna be like, oh, I'm so bad at like the timing for Bongo quick kill, so I always just quick spin. And then, yeah, keyboard. Oh. That's the big downside to keyboard, I guess, is quick spinning. I love that everybody has a different song for the Bongo BPM. Take On Me was always the one that I used, but I know when I first taught that to people as well, like a couple of people I taught, we used Skater Boy is another one.
can use whatever you want to, as long as you're correct.
Alright. There's the Song of Time. That actually is the difference, isn't it? It would have been close. I think Riley was still ahead before the song, but that song is...
I'm just disappointed Hammer wasn't at Stalko's chest. I'm still salty about that.
It was bomb shoes, it was more explosives.
Yeah, but man, what could have been?
Prelude was in the Temple of Time after beating Shadow. So yeah. Which we said earlier about FMZ doing Shadow or Spirit first, and it turned out Shadow was the right answer, we just didn't think why. Actually, I guess to be fair, it wouldn't have made a difference at that point. What he needed was a way to beat Shadow.
Well, if he just did bail on Shadow to check in Spirit, that I think makes part of the difference up. But then he's still like a minute or so behind, I think.
And like,
Could have
yeah, I guess
gone for Kakuri Sword. That's
Shadow
really
before Spirit, it skips out on getting the Burning Cack song. That's the big one.
Yeah.
And that's
yeah,
it. Like,
Riley just
nothing
never
else,
picking up the
basically.
Kakuri Sword. Just really
Yeah, the trade...
add to this.
The trade sequence is probably enough on its own. I think Burning Cack is not enough on its own, but it's enough that it would be a step closer, at least. There are so many things we could point out in this seed of, like, this would have made the difference. There are, like, probably countless things. The biggest one is going to be the trade sequence, but...
Yeah.
Riley really did save so much time with that, damn.
Even with the warps too, right? Like, it's still pretty quick to do.
I don't know. So the big thing with Prelude is that, like, even if FMZ had done Shadow before Spirit, and then gone back to pick up Prelude, or at that point it would be better to not pick up Prelude, right? You're walking out from CAC to that anyway. So at that point, I guess you still want to, because that way you don't... Yeah, he doesn't know which one's going to be which, but...
The spawn being at CAC, basically, is...
Yeah.
Doing Shadow before Spirit, like, again, like you said, there's so many things that really could be, and this time it kind of just went into Riley's favor. I mean, I think if it was actually all dungeons, I think FMZ would have been slightly ahead.
Yeah, no, I agree. The amount of time that FMZ is behind here is less than the trade quest, for certain. It's really interesting in this one because they did split really early. They had very drastically different openings, but then they just kind of met up again and then crossed over and did the other side and met up again. And then eventually it just came down to this, you know, what order do you do the final areas in? And we thought FMZ might win or lose it on Deku Tree, and then actually just dodged it.
All the child checks Riley too, what kind of looked like to be kind of a waste of time, just didn't matter. Not enough. Not enough.
Incredibly close race. That was really good.
Yeah, GG's to Riley. There it is.
Basically a Ganon apart. So Riley will take the win here. Is moving on to face Ryu Kane. In as losers top 4, but it's like top 6 of the tournament. Commiserations to FMZ will drop out, but top 8 in what is basically his first tournament and a really, really strong showing in basically every race. Definitely, definitely a scary runner. Like, one of those runners I think kind of flew under the radar for a lot of people and has definitely got his name out there a bit more now.
No, for sure. I mean, getting deep into any tournament is difficult enough, and this bracket's stacked. And it's S4 settings. A lot of people kind of view it as kind of gambly casino time, which is to a degree, but you know, past all the RNG, these runners made a lot of great decisions. And as a result, it's a really close race. I think in a 1v1 format too, the settings get different too.
Yeah, for sure. And I think when you've got runners at these kinds of levels, like, to an extent, there's not all that much variance in terms of the settings, because you're talking about people who have both played them so thoroughly and done so well on them throughout that, you know, we're talking the best of the best at this point.
Yeah, look who's joining us here in the channel.
One of the 6 best in the tournament. How's it feel?
I'm still kind of nervous, to be honest. That Jabu, holy moly. Ugh.
A little shaky. I can, yeah. So I'm guessing you've both spoken a little bit
Yeah.
since you finished, but yeah, without a doubt, the biggest difference was FMZ did the trade sequence.
Yeah.
Without a doubt, the biggest time difference. Obviously, you got the hint, and you picked up the prescription. Did you consider doing it from ice there, or were you just...
Yeah, but I got strength in ice, so I'd just rather do forest then.
Mm-hmm.
And then at that point, since I committed to forest, I'd rather just go to the well than go to commit to trade sequence, since, like, walking there is about the same from, like, at that point, so...
Yeah.
Commit to the better play. So.
Yeah, fair. That early game was unbelievable on both ends.
That was pretty unique, yeah.
Literally, the first thing we saw was you both got the choose pretty much right away. And then FMZ just went, like, so you both did London, you both picked up choose, and FMZ immediately goes and does the Boulder of Destiny and gets the bomb bag.
Oh, damn, okay.
Like, immediate. And so it was like, immediately we've got this thing of like, okay, this is out of logic, but there's so much value in having the early explosives. And then suddenly you found back-to-back hook shots in Lost Woods, and there was like, there was the bow as well, like Bomb Tube Bowling having a prescription and a bow, and we were like, all of this is out of logic.
Yeah.
And then a Field Way of the Hero shows up. What?
Yeah, there was a Field Way of the Hero in Lake. So Bomb Bag was guaranteed Way of the Hero. So yeah, that's what made me do the huge child cleanup I did after I did Shadow. So.
Right. It was an interesting one. Was there a point where you were considering just like, screw logic, just do whatever?
Yeah, because I knew like there was a hammer super early, and fire was barren, so that made it kind of worthless at a point. But like, it's still like, it could easily be like something else that leads to it that I need. Like the same thing why I stuck around when I got the hammers, because okay, like there could be a strength in this like really early in child, and then your lens is in forest or something. So I feel like it was almost warranted to do like a pretty big child cleanup there. Obviously, it kind of sucked because you go to Ganon's, you got lighter right away, and then I had to go right back child, which felt really bad. But
Yeah,
right.
age changes on top of FMZs, so definitely made it a lot closer than it would have been had you just gone Ganon's. But it's a tough call to make. Child cleanup versus Ganon's. I mean, we were kind of thinking FMZ might have gone G2G a lot sooner, but he actually went Ganon's instead.
Wow, yeah. Like, I feel like, I mean, as soon as, like, I was like, okay, I'm going over all my songs after I get serenaded in CAC. I'm like, Shadow's Forest Med, I don't have ZL, it can't be in Graveyard, can't be in Ice, I have 5 songs left to get, it has to be in Colossus. So, like, okay, I'll do Graveyard, and then save quit, check my spawn, and then after that, play Minuet, Dip Forest, and then go do like Field into GTG, and then go get ZL, obviously. And then I get Magic on the way. I don't remember where Wind was, but I had it, so like I was like, okay, perfect, like that's amazing. So I just ended up just following that. That felt like a pretty linear decision for me to just do all of that in a row.
Yeah, there were definitely a lot of like interesting moments in the seed. Like you got handed everything early, but then it kind of the information you got ended up almost mattering more than the items you were getting. I felt
like what kind of info?
Like between the early Graveyard Way of the Heroes, which led you to the Mirror Shield, there was a reasonable chance FMZ would have missed that without the 3rd Graveyard hint.
Yeah, I just went there because my time, it was like turning night. I was like, okay, sun's gonna be really deep. If I don't go check Dompe now, I might never get another chance. And with this spawn, I can just, if Dompe is nothing, I can just reset and go right back in and do Market and then do like Richard and then go Adult. But like, I got Mirror Shield, I'm like, I can't really scum that. So like, that's, so like, I just decided to do like, okay, screw it, I'm just gonna use my Choose in Field and reset at the end because by Remote Grotto, it should be daytime. So I do that and then I get my bomb back. I'm like, all right, perfect. Like, if I don't do it if that doesn't happen, I probably missed everything. Probably missed a bow and all of that in Market. So that would have been really bad because then I would have crossed over and didn't get Dins, and that would have been super costly.
It was one of the small decisions early on in the routes. It was pretty much the same, apart from the bomb bag, but you didn't have to wait for time of day, whereas FMZ definitely had to wait most of the time of day cycle, which there are a lot of things in this match that kind of explain the time difference between the two of you.
I mean, yeah,
that's one of them that definitely helped you. Yeah, what did you think about the Kakuri sword hint?
It was kind of stressful, to be honest. I knew Market was way there and had the prescription, but obviously we already had hovers from there, so that for me that was good enough. So that's why like I just didn't commit to it as much as I could have. Like obviously, like I was right in Ice, so walking out of Ice and going to turn in prescription and like just going to do to Lake and then not Frog Warp, but like Timer Warp, so you can just turn into the Eyeball Frog without having to. The eye drop, sorry, without having to do the walk up. But I don't know. I knew I wanted to go well first anyways, so I just decided that's my play, and that's how I just committed to that.
Yeah, I mean, you didn't know if it was required yet. You still had Spirit left. You still had Strength 2 to even go to Spirit, so it made sense skipping it.
Like, yeah, in terms of efficiency, if I don't do it now, it's not like I don't really have a better time, but like I said, I think it was a worthy commit to me to not get at the time because coming back to it was not the absolute worst. But yeah, that's my take on it. Do we see the other big around hint, or was that the only copy in Fountain?
It was the DMC wall.
Oh, was that the first one we saw of that?
Yeah, we went Crater fairly early. I think an Adult 1 after DC, I want to say.
Yeah, I never read that in, so.
Yeah.
That was definitely one of the biggest divergences early was FMZ when you both went to Adult, it was similar times with basically the same items. I think FMZ was missing the mirror. FMZ walked to CAC, then DC, then up towards the crater, and then walked up to the crater where you went Bolero and then down. And that actually made quite a big difference early on. It was only then going further into the seed that, like, you know, other things kind of pulled it back a bit. But that was like a really big difference early, is that ordering those warp songs.
Yeah, I always like to check if I have warp songs early. I always like to check them and go right to them right away. So.
Oh, worked out today. So, Ryukane? What are your thoughts going forwards?
Ryukane is a really solid player. Probably like coming into the tournament, like I don't know anything about this guy. Like I don't know where. Like I knew he was practicing and grinding a ton. He's pretty like I think he was like in the scrubs part of things. So I knew he was climbing from there, and then like watching him recently against What the Hells is very very solid. Like doesn't make much mistakes. Like he's very very solid all around. So I'm pretty excited.
Battling it out for a top 4 spot in that one.
Yeah, bring it. I'm ready. I still have the motivation to keep going further, so.
That's great to see. It's really interesting seeing like the mindsets of people going through the tournament. There are so many runners that are like, oh, I know that I'm like unfavored against this person. I know I'm going to lose this match, and I know this is going to go badly for me. And it's really refreshing talking to you about this. And every time you come in, you're just like, yeah, no, whatever. I'm going to win. We're good.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I'm confident in how I play and how I route, and my execution is not the best, but it's good enough to carry me the whole way. So.
Alrighty. Any more to add?
I want to say I talked about most of the important things about the seed, but yeah, that's about it for me.
Yep. No more questions from my side.
Yeah, I guess again, GG's to both of you. It was an amazing race to watch, incredibly close, and.
Yep. GG again at Fmz. It was a pleasure to play against you. You know, I remember like one of the first streams. Sorry, I'm going to ramble a little bit. One of the first stream I did, I remember FMZ was in my chat telling me how I should ground jump because I didn't know how to ground jump like 2 years ago. That was amazing. But yeah, GG's FMZ.
Yeah, great race to watch.
Okay, I think if there are no further questions, we can wrap this up.
Cool.
And again, thank you to the runners, Fmzgun and Riley. Also, thank you to our commentators, Yoshikyon and Emosoda. And don't forget our trackers, Ginger Sony and Nextdoor. Next on CSR, on this channel, in about an hour, we have an Oracle of Seasons All Essence Showcase race. At the same time, on CSR 4, we have a Skyward Sword Randomizer tournament match. And... am I wrong? Was it the same time? No, it was the same time. And 30 minutes later, the Minish Cap Randomizer Weekly is starting on CSR 3. At 7 PM Eastern, we have another match of the Skyward Sword Randomizer tournament. And that's all for today. For more Zelda content, check our schedule. And we hope to see the next matchups for the Ocarina of Time Rando tournament. One is already... two should be already scheduled if I'm not mistaken. And we will raid over to ZSR2, where we have an Ocarina of Time Beta Quest Blackout Bingo Tournament match between Deathpad and Runner Guy.
Oh, wow.
Ooh.
It's gonna be close.
Enjoy the day and see you next time on ZSR.